AskGunQuestions.com is a website that we built back in 2007, and since then, for the last 15 years, people have been able to ask questions of simple to advanced nature, and we attempt to answer them in different ways over the years. Join us now as we start a new series to answer gun questions.
And welcome, everybody. So we're starting right on time today. Pretty close right on time today. Tony's joining us. I'm assuming you're in New Jersey.
Yes, I am. I was on mute for a second and it wouldn't go off. But yep, I'm in Jersey today.
Right on. And we got Mike White joining us out there already. Says good afternoon on this hot Saturday. I'll tell you what, it is
Jersey today.
It is hot. And hold on. We got Mike White joining us out there. I got my own playing back on me. So he's talking about being hot. It is definitely hot in Arizona. What's it like in New Jersey this weekend?
Very hot. Very hot. And I finally turned the AC, central air on. I haven't had it on, but last night it was miserable, and I was like, enough's enough, dude. I can't sleep, and I have stuff to do. You know what I mean?
So what's the
my son is busy.
You each pay by yourselves at your situation, or?
You split it up 4 ways.
But I mean, they know how much you're using, so if you don't use it, it's cheaper, or are you just not using it because you're trying to save energy or something?
We were just not using it. Everything's cool. Everything was good with a fan in the room. And one of the guys has his own air conditioning that he has plugged in. So it is what it is, man. You try to do something.
Gotcha.
To save a little bit of money.
Yeah, I pretty much don't do much during the day when it's super hot and then run fans at night. So I use the cheaper electricity and kind of try to, stay away from using air conditioner if I can help it. Because otherwise it'd be on full blast, let's say, it's all day long, and it wouldn't even, but keep it kind of cooler, you know what I mean? It's not going to get pleasant here in the way I'm at. But anyway, so it's a hot day. I've been outside working too. I almost missed the show. I barely gave you the link like 5 minutes before we started here. I knew we were doing the show today. I had set it up earlier in the week, but then I was outside working. It's hot, but it's cloudy a little bit today. So without the sun blaring down, it's not as hot as it could be. So I was trying to get some chores done outside. But regardless, hopefully I won't fall asleep in the middle of the show from it. But because then I was doing a bunch of yard work. Let's just talk a little bit off-air stuff. I was doing a bunch of yard work, and then I was doing some reviews. And the next thing that came up for me to review was this foot massager, like a robot foot massager. You ever used one of these things?
No.
Right? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily myself either, unless like my grandma had it at her house or something, and I was like, hey, can I use this? Try it or something. But even if I was like at a spa, I don't even know if they'd use them in a spa. They probably have people to do it. But anyway, it's more of a single-use type of thing because you're putting your feet in it, and you can probably do something to keep it cleaner. But essentially, it's a personal product. Anyway, I'd never really thought about using one, but I was reviewing one, and it's not cheap. It's a pretty expensive one. And man, was it neat. It smushes your feet from the side with these, imagine like the Muppets or like some kind of a puppet hand, like a big goofy looking hand, but that's kind of what you want to smash on your feet. So it's made out of foam, like a dense foam coming in from both sides. So it kind of feels like fingers, but it kind of feels like, I don't know, like a Muppet was grabbing on your foot from both sides. And then on the bottom, there's like a roller with little lumps on it that rolls, and it might move around too, but essentially it's kind of just squishing your foot, and then they kind of pulse or push in and let go at different rates. And I guess it can heat up. I didn't bother with the heat cycle because it's Arizona and it's hot. But I'll tell you what, after just doing a little bit of yard work in the morning, I mean, from like 6 a.m. to 10 or something, or 10 a.m. So, standing around for a while doing stuff outside, that felt pretty good. So, I can definitely recommend it. I mean, unless you've got the kind of money to go to a spa or something. After that, walking around was kind of neat. It felt like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't know. If you ever walked around on like some kind of maybe pebbles or something for a while, and then you kind of get a massage that way, kind of felt like that, like after just having a real relaxed foot. Little side topic there, but like I say, hopefully I won't be so comfortable here that I fall asleep halfway through the show. But how's it going in your neck of the woods this weekend? You work.
It's going pretty.
This podcast, right? Like you work on Saturdays, and then this is when you're getting off work.
No, a few times it was when I was called in because I get
Oh,
called in for emergencies. But no, I try to get my running around from the week done. But this particular week was crazy. I didn't know what day we had off for Juneteenth because I worked for the state and I knew we had a day off. I assumed it was the day they celebrated Juneteenth, so I made an appointment. I come to work and I find out, oh, I'm going to have to use my own personal day off on Juneteenth. And then the next day we had diversity shoot, so I had to take that day off. So that was Wednesday I took off. Thursday I took off, and they went, "Hey, the state's celebrating Juneteenth on Friday, so you have that day off." I'm like, did I just walk into a 5-day weekend for myself?
so that's where you're
Awesome.
sitting right now. That's weird.
Yes.
So why don't they celebrate it on the day? Why do they shift it? Just so that people can have a long weekend, I guess?
Yep.
Huh, I guess that's
Just so
cool.
people can have a long weekend.
Having a Wednesday.
So,
So it was
I was
Wednesday
like,
this week. Yeah.
yeah. So I walked into a 5-day week, 5-day weekend, and been productive. I'm trying to make it more productive today by either finishing up a review or getting some letters written to some manufacturers or emails out and try to get some firearms in. We picked up another range, fourth range this year for the diversity shoot. So we're going to be in Lakewood, New Jersey. So that's going to be awesome. They pulled out all the stops for me. I went down on Wednesday. That was my appointment. And they were like, hey, we want this to be your range. We have a studio that we have built. So if you want to do content here, you can. We have a social media crew. Like we want to work with you and we want to do this and we want to do that. And I was like, great. They gave me a tour. I knew some of their instructors already because I've been doing this a while. And, you know, in the whole, not only Second Amendment, but competition shooting, firearms related stuff, instructing, volunteering. So I know some people. And I walked in the room and I know them and some of the guys at the range knew me. So it was really comfortable. It was not like walking into a building full of strangers, you know. That was good. Then they took me to the studio and I'm like, nice studio. If you follow my IG account, you've seen it. But I'm like, nice studio. This is cool. And the camera guy was there and the video guy was there. The video guy and the still photographer were both there. And they were like, all right, cool. You have anything prepared? I was like, what? They're like, oh, yeah, we got everything set up for you. We're ready to record. I was like, all right. And I just did it off the top of my head because, I mean, I'm used to doing this, but it was just funny. It's like, you have anything prepared? What? So it was announcements. And one of the things they want to present at our very first diversity shoot there is the Ross Mart 9mm kind of Glock clone. Yeah, pretty cool studio, huh?
So that's what we're looking at here is the studio?
Yep, that's their studio. Where they got the lighting set up. They got the table set up. It looks great. So I was just able to roll right into it. And
Cool.
They looked at me like, wow, you're really prepared. I was like, no, I actually wasn't at all. And we filmed like 7 videos. And because I wasn't prepared, I didn't bring different clothing. So I'll be putting on videos for the next month. And it's like, does Tony ever change shirts?
Well, but the thing is, it's a week apart. So, you know what I'm saying? Like people won't remember.
Yeah, that's true. But
that is
so,
one of those things that now you know to know that. And now you just know, bring like a sack of shirts next time you go.
Exactly. Since I take the day off to do these diversity shoots, I'm going to talk to them about the next diversity shoot.
They do that explosion there?
They did it all, man.
That whole explosion and shit? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they did. They pulled that. They pulled my logo for me. What the heck? Oh, okay. Whew. No, I just made another video featuring that, which is the CAA. What is that? The CAA MKS or MCS. And I just pulled that. So what I'm going to do is try to talk to them, bring some firearms down, do some reviews, and just spend the day down there with different shirts popping them in, popping them on. Hey, I'm at We Shoot. This is the review on the, High Point carbine and the bullpup chassis, and do a quick YouTube short about a minute. Talk through it, walk through it, then do a long form video and do that for a few things, and then make some more announcements about, of course, hosting diversity shoots that We Shoot. Oh, they gave me prizes that we're going to raffle off. I actually did a video with that, so that's coming up. I'm really looking forward to working with them. It's a new area, though. It's a new area in the state for me, so it's heavily Orthodox Jewish. We're hosting on a Thursday night, so that shouldn't present any problems. And it's just inviting a whole different group of people into the firearms-related field and getting them comfortable. So I don't care where you are or what you are. I want you at one of my events. And if we can make people feel comfortable and we can be close to home, great. So it's an hour for me to get there from where I live.
So we're taking a look at New Jersey on the screen here. So you're in Trenton or Princeton?
Yeah.
Trenton. Okay, so then you can just go down this highway. What is that, like a half an hour?
Oh, for me, it's an hour ride almost on the Beezer. It's an hour.
That's this 190 or whatever it is?
Yeah, what I do is shoot down 195 and then hang a right on, I don't know what it is. I'm not going to do that next time, though. They told me driving through town, the people drive like maniacs down there. And I was told the best way to do it, shoot down, hook up on the parkway, and take the parkway, and the exit is like half a mile away from the range. You just take the exit, get around, and take one road right into the range. They were like, that's the best way because you avoid driving through town where it seems they have suicide drivers practice.
So then the other ones that you go, let me just do directions, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go to the
recoil.
First.
Oh, which one? Whatever you want to put up there.
Oh, I'll just go to whatever. Recoil. Range.
Yeah, recoil range. I think it's Mott Lane in Monroe, New Jersey.
Okay, and then why can't I think of the one?
Gun for Hire.
Gun for Hire. Thanks. And that's in Woodland Park.
Yeah, that's in Woodland Park.
Okay, so that's a bigger drive for you, and then the recoil
Union Hill
for you. Oh, and then
Union Hill Gun Club, and recoil in the same town, but on different sides of town. So you get there different ways, and it actually adds like another 20 minutes or half an hour to the ride, even though you're in the same town. Come on out, bro. And we have 2 a month now scheduled for the rest of the year. 2 diversity shoots spread over 4 ranges over the entire state.
Yeah, and somehow picked a golf course next to my house and then put that in there. But okay, so that's essentially where we're talking in New Jersey. Now, if you were to go down towards, I mean, technically New Jersey goes all the way down here somewhere, like
Yep.
Long Neck. How long would it take you to get to Long Neck? Like
going
6
up
hours?
right here. Okay, right there. You're in. If you go down to the bottom where the little pointed finger is on the state, that should be Cape May. Go up. That's not Jersey. That's Maryland. Right there.
Oh, this is Maryland. Okay, so this is Jersey. So if you go to Cape May, what does that take you? Like 6 hours?
I don't even know. I've only been there once and wasn't impressed. Yeah, it's a trip.
Yeah. Okay.
People laugh. I laugh because you think New Jersey's such a small northeastern state, but the time it takes you to make those distances due to traffic, it's densely populated, and pretty much again a day off. I mean, I've gone down to speak in Galloway Township. I was part of something down there in that South Jersey near Stockton College. And it's like, holy crap, dude, how far is this? How big is this damn state? And I live here. And I've worked as a locksmith here. So I've traveled down to the shore. I've traveled to the top of Jersey. I've traveled out to West Jersey. But there's still parts down in the Pine Barrens that I haven't been to where, the Jersey Devil hangs out. It is crazy, bro. This state, it's almost like 5 states condensed into one state.
Well, I imagine. Do you know what the population in New Jersey is?
I'm gonna guess at 9 million.
Holy crap! Yeah, I think Arizona is 3 million or something. So I can't even imagine. So that's interesting. Though I don't think I've ever put them on a map, have we? At least I don't. We never done it on the website, so I never thought about them spatially. I guess. I think one time I might have asked you about them, but I think one time you were going somewhere close to Philadelphia or farther south, and we were looking at a map. But I think that was like for work or for some one-time event or something.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, 9.3 million residents in New Jersey in 2024. So when I discuss, doing the diversity shoot and the fact that I'm at 4 ranges, I'm like, it's only on part of the state. Some people want me up further north. So when you go up to Gun for Hire range, there's another range called RTSP,
Hmm.
and they're in Randolph, which is a little further north and west. And maybe in 2024, I'm going to figure out how to break it down into each location gets 3 or 4, but I'm limited to one amount of time off I can take.
How long
And
does it take you to get to recoil? Or, I mean, gun for hire.
Gun for Hire, 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
Traffic. Oh, all based on traffic, not distance.
Yeah. And because that's heading in towards the city, so it just gets crazy, huh?
It crazy's not even
Is it
insanity.
like when I visited Washington D.C. before?
Mhm.
As long as you don't go out like during these 2 or 3 hours in the morning and 2 or 3 hours at night, you can just drive around and go places. It's not like that?
No.
Okay, because they have
Um,
like rush hour where it's gridlock and it'll take you 3 hours to get across the street almost, and then as soon as it breaks up, you can book all the way across Washington D.C. in a couple hours, like an hour. But or
yeah.
at least my experience there. But it's not like that. It's not like if you went at 2 a.m, you could get there in 15 minutes and then hang out.
No. And it's funny because I live here and I think that even though I've worked it, because again, I've worked in North Jersey, that's what Gun for Hire area is considered. I've worked in North Jersey. I did emergency services as a locksmith, so I could get called out for Elizabeth, Newark. All of that is up near Gun for Hire, Jersey City. And still there's traffic in the middle of the night, and just sometimes it's bumper to bumper if they're doing construction, and you never know. And nothing's more frustrating than trying to get to a mall that's closed and you have personnel waiting for you at like 1 a.m. and you're stuck in bumper to bumper traffic. Like, how is this even possible? It's like, how am I stuck in traffic with people waiting on me and it's 1 a.m? Welcome to Jersey.
Yeah, but it's like you say, they have to do construction because the roads are just getting destroyed every single day. So they have to constantly be in the weather. I can't even imagine. So they're got to be doing the construction. So yeah, they're going to do it in the middle of the night. Or do they just do
Yep.
construction all day long and fuck everybody?
All day long. And that's the crazy thing, dude. You'd go, okay, they do construction in the middle of the night. They leave the cones up and still make it a finable thing during the day. So the roads traffic is still constricted. If nobody's there, it's still constricted. Anyway, I mean, I'm not going to complain about it. It is what it is. I take the entire day off so I could get up to Gun for Hire without being in a frenzy. I made the mistake. Pretty much I have to leave by 2 o'clock in the afternoon to get to Gun for Hire by 5 and have everything set up. Go in to see how many people are coming, how many people purchase tickets so I can do my pizza math and get the pies ordered pretty much around 5:45, and it takes about 45 minutes for them to get there, even though it's only a mile away, the pizzeria. And that gives me time to do my entire shtick, talk about current, answering questions, introducing Second Amendment organizations. And if I time it right, we can bring in the pizza and get the raffle started at the same time. That's when everything's firing on all cylinders. Everybody eats the pizza. We have a good time. We make jokes. We do the raffle. We hand out prizes, take photos. And then my guys slip away into the range and set up their ports. And then we all do a safety brief and we go outside and take a group photo underneath the sign, for whatever range we're at. And then we go in and I send them in teams or in waves so they can be introduced to firearms. So that's pretty much our entire agenda. And then afterwards, I'm trying to work on that. The post shooting part of it. When they come out, I'm trying to get some testimonials from people, uh, in a quiet way, because at the end, everybody's really excited. And that's also, for me, an important part, because now you have these groups of people that came in and weren't talking to each other because they didn't know each other. But we all broke this down and they're huddled together in the range, waiting their turn. So they're talking back and forth excitedly. So we try to create relationships or at least conversation there. And we still try to encourage it afterwards. We don't want people just to leave and rush off. We want them to have that little 10, 15-minute time frame. And I'm asking them questions. Hey, who had fun? What was your best gun? What was your, da 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 da. And now you get them talking and they're excited. And look, next time we're going to be here. Here's the next date. Here's our website. You can go visit. Here's the websites you could join. Here's how to follow us on social media. And then we go outside and have cigars, and we tell anybody that wants to hang out with us, they're free to hang out with us in the parking lot.
I don't know if you've ever described it, because I just always assumed, I guess, that you did the pizza after.
Nope. we try to get them to eat and talk and fellowship with each other during. Like
Right
it's
on.
actual, to me, an integral part of it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So we have fun, though. We had fun this time. I went to my doctor today, and that's one of the appointments I had today. And he's a gun guy, but he just had a kid, but he's within like 2 miles of the range. I'm like, dude, why didn't you come Thursday? Oh, the kid. I'm like, it's outside, bro. You can spit on it from the roof. And of course, I'm just giving him a hard time, and he knows it. Well, he has a new secretary or a new lady out front, whatever you call that, at the doctor's office. And I just went right into my spiel with her, and she was like, "Oh yeah, my family owns firearms, and my father pushes us all the time, talking about we need to, be armed and you take care of yourself. But we just moved to town." I was like, "Well, well, well. Guess what's happening in less than a month? We're going to be back in town. We're going to be at this range, and since you guys are new but gun owners, we can introduce you to the range. We can introduce you to the instructors here at that range, and it's going to be great." And I gave her a rundown, had her follow me on IG, sent her to the website, and I was like, "Bring your dad. Actually, invite your whole family. Anybody that wants to come, it's going to be great. They don't even have to bring their firearms." And I left there, hopefully, and she followed me on IG, so hopefully we'll get her and her family out. And the family's from Brazil. And I was like, that's cool, because in my last, diversity shoot a gunfire range, we had a family from Venezuela.
How big a family?
This particular one was just the husband and wife, but you'd never know who else they're bringing. At Union Hill Gun Club last time, we got two sisters, their husbands, and their newborn came, and the husband, everybody just swapped off so they could shoot, and somebody would be out there taking care of the newborn. But I'll be
A lot of
posting
people
video.
give me crap about not having a very big opinion of 9mm, but that's a good point. When you've got a newborn there, at least it's a caliber the newborn can shoot comfortably.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Newborns actually dig 9mm, but it's the hardest thing in the world to get them, it's like toilet training. You got to break them in the real calibers sooner or later.
Exactly. They get addicted. It's like having the pacifier too long.
Yeah, you can't do that. All of a sudden they'll pick up horrible habits.
So
they don't have to aim, they just throw rounds at it. Go ahead.
Krabby saying, any events close to Levittown, Pennsylvania?
Sadly, no. And Levittown's across the river from me. Levittown's right on the other side of Trenton, like right across the bridge.
Oh.
And so you're still going to have to do about an hour if you're in Levittown. Wait a minute. Isn't it right across the river?
I don't know. There's a lot of towns here. How big a town is Levittown?
Levittown shouldn't be. I mean, it's just literally on the other side of the river from Trenton. Like it's the first town in Victory.
So you guys all have towns that are like 6 blocks long or something.
Oh yeah, that's.
I don't know. I can't tell. There it is. It's right there. Like you're saying, it's like literally right there.
Yeah. Okay,
What's all
cool.
this green stuff? Is this a fort or something? Or is this just downtown?
What's all that green stuff? Oh, it's probably
looks like a railroad.
Who knows? I've lived here. I lived here before, and my wife and I used to go to the Walmart and the Super Walmart over there, and we shopped over there in Levittown, mainly because we didn't really know Trenton that well. And it was like, all right, I understand Walmarts and Walmart layouts. And it's right across the river. So Diddy Bop, Ping, right in PA. And it was a little more free over there. It just felt different.
There is that perception. I go to California, but I think it's all me. But it does feel stifling or weird. And, I don't have a gun in my pocket when I'm over there. And I don't know. I just feel like but it's more than that because it's, I'm not like running around in fear or nothing. It's just like having a multi-tool your phone. Like sometimes you don't need it at all, but other times when you need it, it's like, dang, I really wish I had my phone or my multi-tool right now. So It's more than just having the lack of something, but I think what it is, it's the lack of, it's the, what is it? The awareness, that's the word, of that nobody else can do nothing about nothing. Like if a bunch of people came in and started shoving everybody around, you got to look to the biggest people in the room to start shoving back, and that's it. Like that's all you got. Or maybe if somebody's a black belt or something, but what's the odds of that? So maybe somebody could pick up a chair but if a bunch of big people came in and started pushing everybody around in California, I don't think they could do crap about it except get pushed around. So that part of it is weird, and you just have to know that when you're there. And you also know that there's some serious shit happening in California every once in a while. And I don't want to act like it happens more than anywhere else, but I live in Arizona where it happens sometimes, and in California it happens more often. It's just the way it is. And when I go to California, I'm usually going to a city because I'm going somewhere. So it's not like I'm going to California, I'm going to the top of some mountain by myself. It's a little bit different there, obviously. But anyway, I do think there is a perception. Now, when I go to DC and stuff like that, it's different because I can carry, and I just don't stay in DC. I leave my stuff in other, wherever I'm at. But I feel like I could run to get my gun. Like DC's not that big. Like I could.
It's not that big,
I forgot my gun. I could take an Uber and get my gun real quick.
Well, what annoys me about it is that
they could do something about it. Like in California, I just feel like people ain't doing nothing about it. I feel like if something went down in the East Coast, people aren't necessarily going to just stop and watch. Some people are, and some people are just going to throw it on their phones. But there's going to be people that are going to roll up their sleeves and take care of business with a stick or with a pool cue or whatever. Because I just feel like there's more get stuff done on the East Coast than there is in California. But again, that's just all perception. Obviously, there's too many people involved. But I think I know what you mean. When you go into it, I can't imagine what it's like. I honestly used to live in a city or in a world where you weren't allowed to have guns, but that was fucking when we were little kids. Like that was so long ago. Like I can't imagine being an adult and then going into another city or town, I guess, another state, and being able to know that you could carry a gun there, but you can't if you go back home. I don't know. We talk about that a lot, but it's something we don't think about in these states.
It's the frustration level of being someone who went through the trouble of trying to set up with Pennsylvania to have a non-resident Pennsylvania license, carry permit, and then having the corrupt attorney general that ended up going to prison change the rules to say if you don't have a carry permit in your home state, you don't qualify for one in Pennsylvania any longer, even though I had reciprocity because I had the Utah. You know what I mean? I had Utah, so that gave me reciprocity in Pennsylvania until this corrupt politician, again, went to prison, changed the rules just because she wanted to get reelected and ended up going to jail before her term was even up anyway. Because she had, aspects, she wanted a higher office. Well, maybe she'll become a tier runner or maybe even a librarian in prison, but that's where her promotions are going to stop. And she changed the law. She changed the rules. So all of a sudden I couldn't carry in PA anymore when I could before. But then you go, Well, I can carry it if I get caught. At least they have a gun culture here, and I still got the Utah, and you know what I mean. So it's a totally different jury of my peers that I'll have to deal with if anything happened, and if it's nonviolent, and who knows, I printed or something, and somebody noticed. Law enforcement probably wouldn't do anything because it's like, hey, I got this license, this license, this license, and this license. You know what I mean? And they're like, don't worry about it. Like, no big deal. This is PA, not Jersey.
There's also like a certain, I don't know, culture, I guess, where the police don't even ask about that shit unless they get called out because of it. But if they get called out because your dog's barking, they're not gonna. In most states, they're not gonna go, "Are you carrying a gun?" Because they just don't care, or they figure you are, and they don't care.
Yep. So it's a whole different. And again, you're right. It's mental with us because we see this as a right. We see this as I'm not going to speak for you. I see this as something physical sometimes. When I cross in New Jersey, it almost feels like one of those weighted blankets that people wear. It feels like that's putting on my freedom, and it really it does suck.
I hear that, dude. And that's something that I'm glad that we at least address it once in a while on this show, because typically if you're a guest, people aren't going to bring that up. I mean, it can come up in conversation. It's not like people shy away from it. Some people probably do because it's uncomfortable. But that's the kind of bullshit that we get comfortable with, and that's how you have bad shit exist for a long time. We have to be aware of I don't know what to call it. It's not a fucking difficulty. It's a infringement, but it doesn't even sound enough. It's like a offensive, right? I don't know which is the right word for it, but it's happening every single moment of every day in like at least 9 states. We used to say 9 states. It's probably more like 11 now that Colorado is getting pretty heinous. But anyway, that's something that I'm frustrated. Every once in a while I kind of rage that the national level organizations don't do this, but at this point they're not gonna. That's not their gig. So maybe there'll be some new ones. You know, we have new generations of gun owners. That means we'll have new generations of Second Amendment, or I should say, gun owners' rights organization founders, right? Like somebody will come along, and hopefully that's something that they'll petition. You know, how to. I want to have sister cities. Like we should have sister states for sure, but some of those states that go around going, we're so good at guns. Like Arizona could for a while. You know, we're so good at guns. We're kind of getting not so good at guns anymore. But some of the states are really good at guns, and they should be teamed up with the worst states, honestly, and fight, you know, financially, spiritually, like together, however, rally together. If they're physically together, great. If they're not, even better. But again, I don't know. It's not, I'm going to quit acting like the national level organizations have to do that or should do that, but it'd be awesome if that happened, I think. And then you can get into, you should be able to adopt a city or adopt a state and have like some kind of a resource. Maybe the state level organizations can do this themselves and say, hey, you want to help us in our state? Here's what you can do from out of state. You know, here's not just our congressman to call, but maybe here's some companies like wherever fuck Levi's at. I don't know where Levi is, but you know, that company, they're super anti-gun. Like they pour money into anti-gun. So wherever Levi's is, like people should be calling Levi's and going, hey, you know what? I wear Wranglers every day. You want to know why? You know why I wear Carhartt and Dickies? Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'll never wear your product. I won't allow my kids to wear. Like, we don't have to. We have to speak up, and we have to train people to speak up. And when I was discussing that with the young lady today at the doctor's office, I didn't go that deeply into it, but I'm thinking about someone like her. She's 23 years old. You know what I mean? She comes from a family that has firearms, but again, they just moved to town, so they probably don't have a range yet. And they're out the loop, and I'm like, it's time to get them in the loop. I can get her directly in the loop and hooked up with females that has a women's shooting club, because we have Robin Sandoval's A Girl in a Gun. That actually has a chapter here. And my friend of mine actually runs one of the chapters here now, one of my volunteers. I can get her hooked up with their group right away. And of course, New Jersey, what is it called? Women for Gun Rights, New Jersey chapter. Well,
the representative in Jersey, she comes to my show. She's done videos of my events. And, every now and again, I see her in live because she's from South Jersey. But every now and again, I see her live. And I'm like, I have all this at my fingertips to introduce this young lady. And why am I concentrating on her? She's an attractive young lady who will probably have a group of friends just like her. And then when it comes time to take photos and put stuff up on Instagram, not only do they do it better, but they have their own circle of friends to something that'll be cool. And this is who we should be recruiting anyway.
Yep.
And it's like, it sucks because when we talk about diversity, you and I know we've had the conversation. We just talk about people, dude. We just talk about human beings, and we don't think anyone's any better or worse than anyone else. And we think concentrating on skin color is ridiculous in one way, but it's important in another because the optic. People have to see it. If you have a bunch of people that look like a group of white people, but meanwhile they're Hispanic, they're this, they're Asian, but they can pass for white in a photo, people go, oh, well, what's up with all the white folks? And it's like, oh, there's people from like 18 different backgrounds in that photo. They just don't look it. I'm like, that's still diversity. That's still, they came from different places. And it's like, all right, great, fine. Hey, and I make the joke in my show. I'm like, minorities, can you look as minority as possible, please, for your photos? And but for photos, it's the optic that people want to see. So we get this young lady and her friends. Hey, look, man, there's other women there. Like half the attendees at this last diversity shoot were female. Two of them actually came at me uh, because they knew Maj. They went to Philly to see Maj at the Solutionary Center. And Maj mentions me doing his presentation, and they came to Jersey to hang out and see what a diversity shoot was like. One was even from New York, and she came to Jersey to see what Maj was talking about. And I'm like, and that's why we work together. That's why we promote each other. That's why you create a circle of friends so you can spread the word about each other. And it put butts in seats for me.
So just a question that came up to my mind when you're talking about being in New Jersey, having somebody from New York come over to do the diversity shoot. Do those kind of conversations, when you're having a conversation with that person directly, do they go to like, dang, it sucks here? Or does it go to like, what can we do? Because this is somebody I'm assuming who's kind of new and is trying to discover, and you're sharing,
I've done it before. And yes, the conversation is, what can we do? And then I roll through them, what they can do, who they can join, who's running events in New York, if I know off the top of my head. Some I do, some I don't. So I tell them to look into it. Look into this group, because I've been to New York working with Second Amendment, Friends of NRA. I went there to support the Friends of NRA in Rockland County a few years ago, and I met a bunch of their 2A people there. So that's who I recommend people go and visit and see, because that's a starting point. And again, it's in New York State, so they know more specifics than I do. This particular lady is from Staten Island, which is totally different than Rockland County. But still, it gives you in the right place. Like, we know each other in the States and across bridges, so we can give good names, and that helps. And then when I told her, if you can't find anybody there, come here. I just introduced you to CNJFO, Coalition of New Jersey Firearms Owners. Join their online community, and then ask this question again there. And it's a much bigger audience than just me and who I know off the top of my head. It's all of those guys and who they know. And of course, being in Jersey, we're 15, 20 minutes away from Staten Island. So somebody there'll know who's running something in her neighborhood that she can actually speak to face to face. I think it's amazing that we get blessed with these people who really want to step out and do something. They just don't know where to go. So we give them that first step, and then we provide, you know what I mean? Like, you're in a place like this, like New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, where the anti-gun culture is huge, and you pretty much have to be a closeted gun owner depending on your job. And we give them that first step that they can come out here because, there's a black dude running this thing. So all the rednecks that they told you and all the racist people that society or the press or whoever has told you your entire life is at gun ranges. Well, here's a black dude. He's here. He's got a bunch of people that are all along the rainbow. All of them are volunteering and they're willing to give you any information you want to know on this journey and make it easy for you so you don't have to quit. You don't have to keep figuring it out. We got a path laid out, whichever way you want to go.
And I think there's again the I don't know if it's awareness, but the to some extent maybe it's unconscious awareness that you've got 4 gun shops now, but 3 for a long time, and others over the years that incorporate your diversity shoot into their infrastructure, which you mentioned before isn't like they got demands on their real estate there. That's got to be one of their biggest costs is the real estate costs. So anything they can do in a room to make money for the business is important. So they see this as useful and beneficial. So I'm gonna say sacrificed, but they've incorporated you into their structure, into their business plans, and that again people don't necessarily have to be told that, but they can understand that. When they look at the wall and they see the posters that gun for hire and the diversity shoot stuff is there, the origin stuff is there. You go to the other ranges, and now it sounds like We Shoot has even kind of built it for the kind of thing you're doing, the shoot that you're doing, not specifically for you, but the era of people who are sharing their experiences, and instead of being a gun range where it's like, I guess you can film, they're like leaning into it. So anyway, I think that's a big part of it too. When I'm assuming if you're that new person and you're gun shy, to use the pun, and unaware, then that infrastructure has to be comforting, if nothing else, that okay, this is, like you just said, everything you just said, it isn't the way I perceive that they're trying to shove it down my throat that it is. In fact, it's this other way, and it's totally open. The other way is super friendly and nice, and they go in. I mean, I'm sure you can go into a gun range and have a bad time. I've gone into gun ranges and have a bad time because somebody's in a bad mood, or they're shooting 9mm or whatever. They're angry at themselves, and they're just being a dick. But I can go golfing and have that experience. I can go to the Walmart and have that experience. So understanding that that's just a fact of having a bunch of people at a place. I have to assume your gun ranges are packed compared to some of the ranges I'm used to out here. So but again, that's very cool, and we're kind of, I guess, just riffing, but we do have an actual question that came in. So, technically, we're supposed to be answering gun questions here. We'll get around to one here, 42 minutes into the show. Nobody can say we technically don't, so it works. We do answer gun questions. We just don't, but we don't get a ton of them. So if you ask more questions, we'll spend more time on them, I'm sure. But the question's on the screen there, and I don't know the answer to this one. In fact, I'm barely reading it, so for the first time here. I don't have a green card, but I do work. All right, I don't have a green card, but I do have work permit and social security number. Also, Florida driver's license. Can I carry a handgun or also, can I use hunting license? So that's a great question. And it's going to differ from state to state. Go ahead.
Actually, no, it's immigration law. So I looked it up because I read it already. Now, this particular person, and you might be right, it might differ state to state, but I'm thinking this is federal. This particular lawyer was in California, and he says, while you have a social security number and a work permit, these alone don't grant you eligibility for firearms ownership. If you only possess a refugee status and have not yet obtained a green card, you would generally not be eligible to purchase or possess a firearm in California. Now, and of course, he says, consultant attorney. So I see you have a Florida driver's license. So I'm assuming you live in Florida. So that's where you need to ask a question. Now, one of the reasons I became I don't know, what do you call it? A representative. I don't even know if that's the word for U.S. Law Shield is because when you join at their minimal level, you can talk to a lawyer. And I'm talking I think it's it's about $100 and something bucks a year, but it allows you to talk to a lawyer that specializes in firearms and firearms related cases at no charge, just for that one-time fee. So my suggestion is, if you can't, and the reason I brought it up is because you can actually claim your 30 days free today using promo code 2A4E. So if you go there, you can do that. talk to them, find out. My thing is always have this information at your fingertips. I don't know how all of these, what they call self-defense insurances work, but I know having access to a lawyer to ask important questions instead of asking on podcasts or asking on social media, you can just talk to a lawyer. And this particular U.S. Law Shield is set up to answer firearms related questions. So that's why I became a member and have them, I get a little bit back if you guys get it through here, but before they even gave me my 2A4E promo code, I was like, use whichever promo code the range you're at has. I'm like, to me, it's not about putting money in my pocket. To me, is you join and have access to that information so you're not listening to your cousin, the dude that was a cop at one time, or whoever, bend over in the chat room who
Internet
told you
lawyer.
it's okay. Yeah, the internet lawyer bend over. And it's like, what? Oh, no. He told me, bro, did you really read his name? Do you think he has great legal advice? I'm like, so this allows you to spend a little bit of money, but almost have a lawyer on retainer for information. And that's what I thought was way more important than them using my promo code. And I'm talking about, I went a year because they actually changed staff and nobody contacted me with my promo code. And I kind of forgot about it. And I was like, well, you know what? Just use whatever range you go to, because that's the only one we can have in Jersey, by the way. If people go, well, why did you pick that one? That's the only one we can legally have in New Jersey is U.S. Law Shield, but it's nationwide. But I was like, just get the information. The information is more important. So please, if you don't join this one, join one that allows you to actually talk to a lawyer without charging you, because that could be expensive.
Well, it was been a couple of years since I did the comparisons of them because it was getting to be annoying for me to keep track of which ones even were around. Because for a while there, we had one from NRA or an NRA carry guard, I think, that kind of came and went. So it was around for a few years and then disappeared. And when things disappear, they don't make a big announcement like, "Hey, we're closing down, so remember to forget us." So they kept coming up in searches and conversations. So in order to clarify it, and this was back when I was spending a lot of time on research still, or at least I'd spent some time on that research. I wasn't doing it constantly, but I decided it was worth taking some time. And it took a week, like almost not constantly every single day, like a 10-hour day, but every free moment I had, I was spending researching that stuff and essentially coming up with a big old checklist, way too big of a checklist. And it's because it's just like anything. And that's one of the reasons I was skeptical. And I think everybody should be skeptical. Whenever an industry has players that all use different stats to compare themselves, fuck them. Like, that's why we have industry standards and standardization and normalization or whatever that's called. Like, what's it called? SAMI. Because if 9mm was going to be this big here and that big over there and that big over here, it would be more dangerous than it already is. It'd be more of a reckless caliber than it already is. So when companies, they do this in the safes also, gun safes. One of them will use thermal units, and one of them will use, British thermal units. One of them will use Celsius. And then, we go for 90 minutes with this temperature, where that safe goes 30 minutes with a much higher temperature. And how are you supposed to compare that apple and orange? Like, it's very difficult to compare. So that's one of the things that I don't like about those places that, there's essentially 4 or 5, depending on how you want to characterize them. And they all essentially allude to the same thing. We're going to be concealed carry insurance. Although, of course, none of them can call themselves that because technically there's definitions for insurance and whatnot. And there's all these different state laws and stuff. So anyway, so it took me a week to come up with all these different characteristics because they each use different characteristics. So I was like, fine, if you're going to use the characteristic of, I don't know, like, we'll clean up after the event. Like, that's one of the things that separates them. Some of them, you have something happen in your house. Everybody, it's like, I like a shotgun for home defense. You ever cleaned up after a shotgun? Think about something else. Like, it's your home, guy. Like, what are you thinking? So anyway, so some of them will clean up a crime scene. Others won't. And that's a differentiation between them. And some of them won't tell you if they do or not. And that's why it took a week to track down all the answers to all this stuff. And it became a poster-sized checklist. And again, screw them. That's why I don't trust any of them, because it's like they all spend a lot of time and effort to look at what each one is comparing. themselves with, and then they all pick something different. So it's like there's just no way for our brains to keep up with it. And when I wrote it all down, trust me, unless you have AI or something, it's just so much to keep track of. Because how many do you really care if they're going to pay you back for your gun? Some of them will pay you back for your gun. Does that matter? Like, is that the most important thing for you? But it's a differentiation between a couple of them. So I think one of the biggest ones is the right to talk to an attorney. Some of them can choose an attorney, but there's only like one or two that let you talk. And except for if you do prepaid legal, which is an option, but and it's not one of those things. But so that's different. But that's what Tony said. It's like having a lawyer on a retainer when you can call up. And there was only, I think, the one in Oklahoma, and then the one wait, is the one you're talking about the one from Oklahoma?
I think this used to be Texas. I think.
Oh, U.S. Law Shield is Texas Law Shield. You're right. So that was the one that's associated with armed attorneys, and they're in Texas, and they've grown from Texas to nationally, and they're unique because they're all unique. But yeah, so essentially, I think that that's one of the things that I would say is a useful differentiation between all of them. So the reason I jumped in here is to say I did do some research on that. You're right that is one of the differences between them, but you're also correct that they're one of the few that even offer that option, and I think that is one of the best options. Now, I'm not suggesting buy any of them because I personally don't like them. But if you live in a state where you can't get anything else, then why not have them? It's a waste of money, I guess. If it's either a waste of money or it's not. So it's either a waste of money, big whoop, or you have them and they help you. I guess the worst case would be if you paid them and then they didn't help you. But in the 2024, if that happened, it sucks. But then you go online and tell everybody, and then you'll get help anyway. You know what I mean? Like, you won't be alone in this world to 2024 with all the internet and everything. But we don't hear about that. There's like 2 cases in all of it where there's some concern about some of them being legit or not. But seriously, with all the stuff in this country, there's almost no concerns with these things. Go ahead.
Yeah, very low. But if you have questions, you're not going to get that question answered 100% you may get lucky and get the correct answer, but you don't know who you're getting information from. I looked it up. I scanned my own QR code and I went and looked it up, and you put $50 down for the first month, and then it's $19.95 a month. But that gives you what they call emergency shield, which is going talking to the lawyer. Like that's the whole have access to an attorney 24/7 for the first 72 hours after any covered legal emergency, and you still got the non-emergency number. So that's what I look at. It's like, you got that question, this is a thing you can do. I didn't know it was $50 a month, because what I did was I paid for the whole year up front for their bigger program that covered everything. One, because I wanted to do it to be able to at least tell people what it covered and what it was, and I had the whole brochure and everything that broke it down. Also, it covered my wife because she's out of state, and being a lady on our own, at least we'd have a lawyer covered, if not just picking a lawyer in that state. You know what I mean? That's at least not one of those people that are used to dealing with criminals all the time. And the reason I bring that up, some people might not know this, there's a difference in the attitude of your lawyer depending on what you do. If you're a dude who's been arrested 37 times before he turned 18, you're already in the system and you have different expectations. If you're a civilian citizen who doesn't want a felony charge, has never really been arrested or in trouble, you don't want a lawyer who's used to dealing with criminals all the time and just going to make a deal and go, how much time can you do? That's not what you want to hear from your lawyer. You want your lawyer to get you off, not someone who's used to going, hey, can you just take a plea for 3 months and you'll be good and back on the street? No, I have a regular job and I need to have a clean record. I can't play let's make a deal with the prosecutor. I want to be innocent. So that's one of the things I talk about doing what I do, is like, having a lawyer on call is better than not having one on call. And it doesn't cost that much comparatively to other plans. And yes, I've had friends of mine actually call, oh, I've had friends going through stuff that actually call U.S. Law Shield and got answers, if not immediately, within 24 hours. And pretty much, actually, we had this conversation the other day. He was like, "That was the best money I ever spent because it cost me so little to get some answers that, if done wrong, would have cost me so much."
Yeah, time and life. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and that's kind
So
of neat.
again, I'm not
Smart
pushing. I'm
to
not
be
pushing
able to.
anything. Yeah,
No, go
I'm
ahead.
not
Give
pushing
your
something.
code again.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
on.
not pushing something because I'm trying to. Hey, Tony's trying to take advantage or grift or whatever word they want to use. But again, only option we got in Jersey if you're going to get it. And I think just that educational part is important. That's it.
Go ahead and give your code again since we've been chatting it up. This is for
Oh,
US
yeah.
Shield.
U.S. Law Show. My promo code is 2A4E. The
Oh, that's
Second
easy.
Amendment's for everyone. 2A4E. Yep.
Because I know that
And
there's constantly people signing up for these things, and none of them are okay. Well done. Is there any of them bad? Not really. There's ones that some people say are bad, so you got to take everything with a grain of salt. Like, why are they saying it's bad? Are they working for somebody else? Do they get a stick up their butt? Again, I think that if any of them were bad in 2024, we'd all know about it. We wouldn't be using them, and everybody'd say, "Oh, stay away from that one." So I think some of them might be taking your money, and big whoop. Like, if you feel better with it, and you know what I mean, like, then $30 a month or whatever it is. Now, if it's, I wouldn't bend over backwards to pay for any of these because it's not. I mean, what's the way to say it? Like, nobody's. If you're living the kind of lifestyle where you need to have this, then you're probably not going to apply to you because you're doing something that they're not going to cover anyway, right? Like, they don't cover people that are fast and loose. They cover people that are, like you just said, like, minding their business all the time and are scared shitless about ever having to go to deal with the procedures and stuff. But yeah, if you've got
it's like
stuff, don't get one of these just to pay for them.
it's like Volvo talking about they're the safest car, and they're the safest car built, and it's like that's because no 18-year-old is drag racing a freaking Volvo station wagon anywhere, dude. There's not a plethora of those. It's
Point,
like yeah. So yeah, and again, the reason I give the base, and again, $20 after the initial $50, and I think you even get discount. And this one says get your first 30 days free. So if you look at it that way, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you can do the math on your own. If you get 30 days free, you pay $50 for the first month. And I think one of them gets dropped. However you want to talk to them, talk to the reps yourself. But for me, $20 a month, dude, anybody asks you a question. I don't know, man, but you know what? Boom, boom. Hey, this is Tony. I'm a U.S. Law Shield member. Here's my number. I got this question. And then within a day, you can answer your friend's question with an answer from a lawyer. Because if you listen to the show, you're your gun guy in your friend circle. And people might know guns, but they don't know legalities. And you'll be that dude for $20 a month that has access to the legality. That's the way I look at it. Just knowledge.
So I'm going to go back to the question. I guess what I was saying, it depends on the state, is with the hunting part. But you're right. The what's the word? Like, the status as don't have a green card, but I do have a work. Oh, the status of being someone on a work permit. I don't know where that fits. And there are aliens that can buy guns, and then there's something else, non-resident something that can buy guns. There's some things. There's some classes of people that can buy guns that aren't residents of the United States, but I worked in a shop on an international border state, so they weren't going to sell to anybody. So a shop can take what they call that, to make the discretion if they're going to make a sale or not. And anybody that came in with anything other than the regular driver's license, live here kind of thing, and then there was one, I forget what it was. Maybe it was students or somebody, or but some people who are working here, I don't know what it is, that they're essentially citizens, but maybe they're dual. I don't know how it works, but there was one.
Student visa?
It wasn't student visa, so it was somebody that was, because it was an older guy, and the the guy who ran the shop was like, "Oh, I know what this is. Like, this is somebody who's essentially, I forget what it was, but there was one status that he would accept, but it came in once, like, or maybe the guy came in, but there was like one person who was in that range, but it was anyway. There are a couple of places, but I think what you're going to end up with, especially with the ATF on their zero tolerance policy that they're so proud of, going after all gun shops for any kind of clerical error. That's a lot for a gun shop to have to keep track of. And we run into this when you deal with state to state transfers as well. Every once in a while, I'm sure you may have dealt with this living in New Jersey. I know people in California more that have dealt with this, but they'll say, I'm not transferring a gun to you, or I'm not transferring a gun out or in because I'm scared of that state. And you can't tell the shop you have to, because the shop has the discretion to do business on what they want. But it's frustrating as shit when you're trying to get a gun from a non-gun friendly state or send one to a non-friendly state, and the gun shops in your area don't want to. They're just scared. And it's because of shit like the zero tolerance policy where they just don't know. They don't, hey, I know I don't know everything, so I'm afraid to even touch it. It's not that I hate you or I hate your state. I'm scared shitless. And that's essentially most of the shops in Arizona were like that until it got to people that were either reckless and like didn't encounter a problem with it yet, or we're going to be like, I don't care. I want the problem. Like, like I'm looking for the problem thing.
I'm looking for that problem.
They wanted to be the test subject for that kind of bullshit, which is good. I mean, I'm not saying we don't need that, but that's essentially who you had to look for, transfer a gun over to California. And I'm assuming it had to be just as bad in California, where can you imagine all the laws you have to deal with in California and then all the federal laws? And you kind of have to be aware of the gun laws in the state you're sending it to some extent. So,
especially when you got a state like Jersey who's trying to sue anybody. Oh, you sent a 30-round magazine to New Jersey. We're suing you too. And it's like, and? It's like, okay, so you're suing me. That's great, princess. Nobody cares.
So that's the part I was saying. I don't know the hunting license part. So I knew, like I say, that there's federal stuff that apply to the gun purchase. As far as the carry, though, I have no idea. I've never thought about it. It has been probably since before Illinois had CCW that I last looked at that portion of Minuteman University, because it changes so fast that I would almost need a full-time, I would need a couple hours every week at least to keep up with the changes in CCW laws, for good and bad. I mean, they just change all the time. And now that every single state has CCW to some extent, there's just that many more laws to keep track of and stuff. But for a while there, I did try to go through. I had one of my first spreadsheets, and this is a long time ago, way before when I was definitely doing research on YouTube. Like, I was getting paid by YouTube, essentially, to sit around making videos all the time. And as soon as that happened, and this was like, mid 2010s, I think, 2000s maybe, whenever, it had to be 2010s, I guess. But whenever I was a big channel, and you could tell back in the day people that were watching back then, when I had time to make videos, I went straight to history and nerding out on where we come from as a gun culture and stuff. So I was like, oh yeah, gun CCWs. I'm a big fan of this because we've talked about this before. In our lifetime, when we grew up, I don't think I ever thought I would be able to carry a gun. I just assumed if you wanted to carry a gun, you had to be a cop, bad guy, or go to the army. And I thought that people in the army carried guns. Then you get in the army, you go, oh shit, nobody carries guns unless you're an MP or maybe an MP. That's about it.
That's right.
Pretty much nobody carries a gun. I guess there was no operators back in the day, but operators would carry a pistol, I guess. But there was so few of them, nobody knew that they existed, type of shit. But anyhow, we lived through not even contemplating carrying a gun to, wow, I could move to a state where you can carry a gun, to, wow, I can carry a gun in my state now. Holy shit, Illinois, you can carry a gun. Wow. That was never, there was people that were like, you were never going to see California, New York, New Jersey, all these states have CCW. And guess what? Who has CCW? Every single state, including Puerto Rico and some of the others. So tons of them. And now we conceal our constitutional carry. I refuse to call it permitless carry because that sounds stupid, but our constitutional carry is in 29 states, right? So
29 states.
Holy moly. So we've lived through a lot of this. And I guess that's where I was saying, I started doing this spreadsheet a long time ago, because one of the things that amused me was it's a CCW in Arizona, concealed carry weapons permit. And except for was brass knuckles, saps, and nunchucks. You could carry everything in dynamite or something like that. You could carry anything you wanted with a concealed carry, except for nunchucks, brass knuckles, and saps for some stupid reason. But anyway, we carry switchblades, all kinds of other shit, swords. But anyway, so we have a CCW, but somewhere up back east, you guys have a CHP somewhere, and that's a concealed handgun purchase or permit. And, you know, literally one pistol. Like, you can't carry two, you can carry one. And some states like Nevada, depending on what county you're in, because each county is different in Nevada. But if you get a CCW in the county, Clark County, I think, where Las Vegas is, if you were, I'm going to say foolish enough, because you should look around and get your CCW permit in a different county. But if you got it in that county, then every single gun you wanted to carry had to have a separate little zero on your card. So I knew a guy who had, like, I'm not even shitting, 5 pieces of paper and like 5 cards in his pocket that he would carry around. He's a bounty hunter, and he would show this kind of stuff to people. He had like 5 what do they call them, like extra cards that were just listing off every pistol, just because he said to Nevada, like, screw off, here's all the pistols I might carry. So they had to give him like this big laundry list of, you know, like permit. But anyway, so some of them are crazy weird and some of them are pretty lax, and, you know, then of course you got like need to inform and all that. Go ahead.
Let me throw this out there real quick. New Jersey, you have to have each one of your firearms that you have a permit to carry for. You have to pass the police qual, or you have to pass the qual with each of those guns. So that means you have to go back in, and you have to pay the $200. I mean, I'm assuming.
Oh shit!
You can hook up with somebody that allows you to pass the qual with all your guns, or you can come up with a special rate. But if you do it from beginning to end, it's like, all right, you got your Glock 19. That costs you $250 for the class. You pass the qual, you know, from the firearms instructor. You send it to the state. You pay that fee, and then you pick up a Canic. Same size, same magazine capacity, same striker fired, same everything. You got to pass the qual with the Canic. All right, cool. Hey, you want a SIG 226? All over again and over again and over again. They don't take it like, yeah, pass with one gun. Oh no, you got to pass the qual with every gun, and you got to hook up with the range and figure out how you don't have to pay over $200 per, just so you can go ahead and get it.
That's either complete ignorance or complete awareness that would mess with people, right, and create money. So they either completely oblivious to that or 100% knew that it was coming. But there's no way I believe that caught any of them off guard.
Oh no, it didn't catch any of them off guard. They're pieces of crap. A friend of mine works at a gun shop, and I think he has 27 on file. He just did it to be a dick. And he did the same reason the guy you know did it. He's like, oh, okay, watch this.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to make me put in one? I'll bring them. When I did my CCW in Nevada, that's how it was too. The way you're saying, I had to call with the 3 guns that I was going to carry. And the county I got them in, over in Pahrump County, you could, or whatever that county is that Pahrump is in, you could, I had to shoot with all of them, but I did it all at one CCW class, right? So it didn't cost me, like you're saying, $200 or whatever. I was able to do it all at one, but it pissed me off because I only had 3 guns at the time. This was like early 2007 or something. So I only had like 3 guns I was going to carry. And soon after, you know, my taste changed and my preferences changed. And whenever I go to Nevada, I had to carry an XD45, which I didn't even own anymore, or a Kel-Tec P3AT, which is, you know, in the early 2000s was cool, but it was no longer something I wanted to carry around. And then Glock 18, or not 18, it would be awesome, Glock 19. And I'm like, dang it, I don't even like this Glock 19. That was not my plan. You know, I just brought that, or no, it was a 40. It was a full-size 40, so whatever that is, a 22. Stupid.
22, yeah.
So anyway, that was how lame it was whenever I went to Nevada. But anyway, so yeah, anyway, so I was just saying I made a chart, and that chart is super old. So I can't even imagine how complicated that chart would be today with all the different, just different weird elements that they add to your CCWs in different states. And then, like you're saying, some of them will just get crazy off the wall, abusive, essentially, just to make you go through so much procedure.
Yep, out of spite, out of spite. Oh, you're gonna dare own one of these things? Well, watch this. And it's like,
And you want to carry it around in public?
yeah, in public. Well, uh, please
Is
please pump the brakes and explain this to me. How is it that we need to change the very laws and the Constitution because these mass shootings happen all the time? And if I say I carry this gun because I want to save myself from a mass shooting, you're telling me I'm crazy because they rarely happen.
Well, that's a good one. That's true, though. You don't need it for any reason, but on the other hand, you're defenseless when somebody with one goes nuts, and that happens all the time. Yeah. Okay, well, so we don't get accused of just answering one question. Let's go ahead and ask another one. I think we did get a question from out there, but I think we answered it, didn't we? No, we didn't. So 500 Magnum, welcome back. It's been a while since you were on. Said, any of us have experience with the SR-47? It looks like an AR-15, but it takes 7.62 by 39. So do you know which one the SR-47 is?
I don't know whose SR-47 he is talking about because I've always been a geek over this. Let me see. Because what I did was I have a 7.62 by 39 Bear Creek Arsenal, both a 10.5 inch and a 16 inch. So that's what I have. So I can answer questions about the principle of using it, but not a SR-27 specific, SR-47 specific.
What's the SR part? Soviet rifle?
I don't know. Is this the one? Oh no, that's the KS-47. Wait a minute. Didn't PSA make one that was kind of like the CMMG? CMMG has the one that's the AR that takes AK bags. And I know for a little while PSA had.
Somewhere I've got a poster that has a bunch of them that I did some research and tried to put as many as I could, include as many as I could, at least that were major. So there's been a bunch.
Okay.
I think the SR-47 specifically might be from Knight's Armament.
Yep, that's what I'm looking at. Yes, from Knight's. No, I have zero experience with that.
Well, how much would that cost? I mean, Knight's doesn't sell nothing cheap. So,
yeah.
Well, my normal.
Okay.
What?
I was right. Mm-hmm. So PSA did make one. I don't know if this is still available. PSA made a KS-47 also. Just pulled it up, and it's pretty much like that Knights thing, but of course PSA's version, which you know is a heck of a lot less expensive. It's like $700. Zero experience with this. You can look up the reviews because with PSA, I didn't know this. They're hit and miss with their quality control. I purchased PSAs when PSA was a newer company, and I have one here that's been running since 2014. Not only in my classes that I've taken, but classes I've taught and diversity shoots since 2015. And all I did was wipe it down and clean it. Okay, he's talking about the Knights one. No, zero experience because, man, that's way out of my bank account. But
so Knights is out of Florida, and they're essentially contractors for military products, and they're usually higher end stuff, not like you need $1 million of something, more like you need like 30 of something for a special unit that needs to be able to do something like jump out of a thing and then skittle into a submarine or something. Like, yeah, we can make that. Or like a suppressor that'll work with something because it's got to be, if they need some special application. I think of Knights as that kind of a thing. I might be wrong. And a lot of optics and stuff. So anyway, they do make some stuff for the civilian market, I guess you could say. And it's like HK or one of those kind of companies that does a lot of military stuff. They know that people are going to pay a premium because few people are going to buy it. I've never heard anybody complain about Knights being poor quality, though, or have poor builds. I mean, have you heard of Knights being a bad thing ever?
No, I've never heard of Knights being bad. They compare it to other stuff. I know Knights is heavy compared to other brands because Knights is on a whole nother level. Knights is making their stuff to the quality of, locking out of submarine or halo jumping across, from 30,000 feet, and it has to survive the jump. It has to survive the insertion. being banged around in the firefight on the way out. Like it's built on another level, so it has to be heavier and it's built better. But I've not heard that it's garbage at all. So if I'm gonna get one, if you want to buy one, not only buy it, but put a 10-round magazine with it, pin and weld the freaking muzzle device, and come to a diversity shoot and bring it with you.
So I can't find anything. Oh crap! I just closed everything I had open. So I was poking around at images first, probably the bad way to do it, and then I started looking for prices. I couldn't find a price anywhere, but I'm assuming it's expensive because everything from Knight's expensive. But what I normally say when somebody brings up 7.62 by 39 ARs is, walk away, leave it alone, because you've got the curved AK mag jamming into the straight mag well of the AR, and it's always just been a recipe for issues because it's trying to cram a curve into a straight line, and it has never worked well. However, looking at that specific one, that Knight's armament rifle, they use an AK mag and they rock in. So they took the best of both worlds. The AK mag is one of the reasons the AK is such a good gun, and the locking lug, okay, that's a pain. I mean, having to pivot it in, once you get used to it, it's not a big deal, but it is different than anything else we're used to over here. We're used to just putting a peg in a slot. That's all we ever do. They don't. They wiggle it in. But once you get used to wiggling it in, it's super strong, and the trigonometry or geometry is right. So if Knights adapted to the magazine, in which looks like they did, they put a big kind of adapted, they sliced half the well off, like the right side of the well is missing, so you just push your mag in there. It's probably a little easier to load than a regular AK because you got that big flat side of the mag well, the other side of the mag well where your controls are for the AR. They left that side on. It's probably easy to like slap it on there and just kind of jam up. But that being said, I just don't know what it costs. So if you got one, awesome, right on. If you're thinking about buying one, hopefully you got a lot of money. I think if I remember right, 500 is in Florida, and it's Knights is a Florida company.
Yeah, I was looking it up because, again, PSA still makes their version totally inexpensive, even on the same planet as far as I'm concerned with quality control or anything else. Nice is on a whole nother level. But I know CMMG also makes it. I haven't heard a bunch of bad stuff about it, but understand when I'm talking CMMG and their quality control, I'm hearing a lot of this from people that are paid by CMMG or sponsored by CMMG. So that's
you can hear about CMMG from people that are paid by CMMG, or you could hear about CMMG from somebody who's paid by somebody else, like a competitor of CMMG. And that's another element of it, right? Like you're going to hear some people who have nothing good to say about nothing except for the company they get paid by. And that's frustrating as shit.
Yeah, it's really annoying because I want the answers, and that's what I'm trying to do with Diversity Shoot, is get those answers from these companies. But CMMG, they call it the Banshee 7.62 by 39, and it looks like they run about $1,800 for the 12.5 inch. We're talking pistols here, $1,800 for the pistol versions of them.
I mean, somebody must have by now, but do you know off the top of your head, 7.62 by 39 out of an AR, what barrel length is the right way to go? Because, me, I'd want it to be 7 or 10, but what's a real good length, do you know?
Here's what I've learned with that. All right, because I looked it up because I wanted to know, Gun Geek. 7.62 by 39 really is not like 5.56, so it keeps a lot of its velocity, and I'm talking like 8-inch barrel, 8.5-inch barrel. Like the crank firing 7.62 by 39 is not like a weakling compared to, let's say, firing a 5.56 out of an 8-inch barrel compared to firing a 5.56 out of a 20-inch barrel. You're getting totally different results. Well, with an AK, because we live in America with a 16-inch barrel, there's not a huge difference between the shorter AK barrels and the 16-inch barrel. So that's when I picked up my 10.5-inch upper. I was like, this could still be used for home defense as a AR pistol or in Jersey as a non-NFA firearm. And with that 123 grain round it's still almost as effective as coming out of a rifle. I don't lose as much as I would if I had a short barreled 5.56. And again, within the ranges that you're going to use a 7.62 by 39, which is 200 yards an end. So that's another reason I wanted to set mine up, so I'm more educated on it. The bad part about running a 7.62 by 39 in an AR is that curved magazine. You're going to have to get that weird half a horseshoe looking curved magazine if you live in a state that allows you to have more than 15 rounds. It's a severe curve, a severe taper to the case that has to be followed. That's why AK magazines look like they do. I'm stuck in Jersey. I have 10-round magazine limit. Well, the 10-round magazines for my my AR, that's usually 7.62 by 39, are perfectly straight. It just looks like a regular 10-round magazine. So I don't have to worry about feeding. I just have to worry about finding an upper that actually runs it reliably. I purchased one from Bear Creek Arsenal and sent it back almost immediately because of light primer strikes. But they actually sent me one because I asked for one for donation back when 7.62 by 39 was cheaper. And that's what we were trying to switch over to for the diversity shoots, or at least add that to it. And me and two of my guys said, hey, okay, we'll all go in and we'll purchase one. And then almost a week after I got it, Biden changed the laws and we couldn't get stuff from, I don't even know if it's Biden. They changed the laws and we couldn't get stuff from the Soviet Union. And the price of 7.62 by 39 went up. So it wasn't as financially prudent, I guess, to run 7.62 by 39. And when I asked for it, it was when I asked for it from what was the name of the company? Ammo Lab that I was working with last year. It was right after the October 7th thing went down in Israel, and they were out of all ammo. So that sucked. So that's a whole thing about my adventure with 7.62 by 39 ammo and an AR. I think it's pretty cool if you can get it and if it runs well, because it's easier to put an optic on it. It's easier to put accessories on it. You just have to learn how to run that because most of them use a paddle mag release, unless you get an AR that still uses AR stuff and AR mags. If you get one that uses AK mags, you're going to have to use a paddle mag release. You're going to have to run it differently. But I personally believe it's a good project gun if you want to tinker and figure out how to make it run. And it'll be a cool range gun until you prove otherwise. You know what I mean? Like use it enough to go, I can depend my life on it, or I can't.
So 500 saying there's no way you could afford it, or ever buy one, but thought it might look interesting, or just thought it looked interesting. So I get that.
Yeah, go the cheap way. Get the PSA version. If you want to mess with it. The PSA version is like $600, $700.
So I've
not
shot,
cheap. Go ahead.
I've shot ARs or AKs that are like with or AKs with AR furniture on them, so they're essentially like an AR but still an AK receiver and stuff. And then, I mean, I must have shot 7.62 by 39 rifles before that are ARs. I've never owned one though, and I don't know anybody that owns one. Because, like I say, we worked in the shop for too long, and they just never worked for so many years that they had no interest in buying something like that. It's like a Mini 14. Some people buy those because they look cool, but nobody buys them because they run well. Like they're like an old car. Like it's like I don't drive it every day, but it looks fucking cool. But so people buy them and they like them, but it's not like it's your daily carry. Go ahead.
That's the difference between people that shoot guns and people that talk about shooting guns. Why not get a Mini 14? They're really cool and they run well. You ever ran one? Like long period of time? How accurate is it compared to, and how much does it cost? And you could go on. And then you find out, well, they shot their brother-in-laws once on a weekend.
Yeah, like at the range. Like everything works fine at the range. What the hell? And nobody, when you're at the range and you're excited and you're shooting your gun, you don't pay attention to be misfired. Like, oh, whatever, light fire strike. Oh, that mag doesn't work. I forgot about that. Like, you're not even thinking about the little things. It's when it matters that you care about that shit, and that's when something happens. Then departments say we're never using that gun again, and then
Like we have ours at the diversity shoot. Tony, what do you look, bro? I need my guns to run because this is somebody's first time pulling a trigger on a firearm. Your gun needs to freaking work. Uh, I don't need them going, wow, guns are really not dependable. They're unreliable. No wonder no. So you keep your weirdo stuff at home unless you figure out how to make it work every time. It says the guy that has a high point on the line. Guess why I have the high point on the line? Because it freaking works.
Yeah, there's a difference between going out and farting around. Just like if you were going to do a car show, you'd say bring your working cars to the car show, not your project cars to the car show. Like if we want to have a car show with everything we got working on, then we could do that. But we know that we're not going to drive around in that car show. We're going to be looking at parts and builds and stuff. But yeah, exactly. You'd want to bring something that works. We were chatting about, or I know I bitched about M1s before. I was watching something the other day that was about World War II, and it was essentially, it wasn't a documentary, but it had found footage and stuff, and they were talking about something else. But in the footage, you could see the people like just fucking swearing. If you could hear them, they'd be swearing. But they were having like malfunction after malfunction with these M1s, or maybe they were M2s. I have no idea, but it's like grainy found footage, but they just happened to be talking about something else and showed this, and I was like, oh, that's hilarious. They don't even realize they're showing evidence that the M1s are freaking fidgety. But here nor there. Magnum is saying, just thought it looked interesting. I'm gonna say here's the thing, an AR, and that's what I was saying. I've shot AR. What would you say? Like, how did they say that? The
derivatives?
No, well, I guess an AK that's set up like an AR. I would say it's got the ergonomics. That's where I was looking for, ergonomics of an AR. But it's still got a bolt and everything that's an AK. When you put an AR 7.62x39 into an AR, it's gonna shoot differently now. Now that AR isn't like a pogo, it's like a jackhammer instead of a pogo stick on your shoulder. So that AR is gonna shoot differently, and I don't want a little aluminum tube pushing on me. I don't mind shooting little BB gun ammo out of an aluminum tube. When you shoot 5.56 out of an aluminum tube, it's matched. I mean, literally, they figured it all out doing math. That's the way you shoot that. I mean, it's a great setup for that gun. But you start shooting more out of it, and I know there's 308s, but those are guns with 18-inch barrels, right? Those are big guns when they made them. So when you're talking the small size and you shoot a lot of recoil through it, I just don't like that recoil. It seems like you're pushing a lot of power through a system that's you're asking a lot of that system. And the opposite is true with the AK. I feel like an AK could probably shoot massive loads. Like it could probably shoot a lot more power just because of the engineering of it. They overbuilt everything. And what that means when you shoot that thing, it's like driving I can only say it's like driving an old 70s Mustang or a 70s Camaro, I guess I've driven, versus driving an AR is like driving a new car. And it's different, the new car handles better and all that. But when you have that giant engine, you want giant tires and a giant transmission and just big parts that can handle it. And that's what I like about the AK is that steel receiver and the parts that just hold your receiver. You're holding that receiver. That's all you're doing is everything's happening inside that receiver. And that big metal taco, that big metal canoe, or whatever you want to call the AK receiver, it's all happening next to your cheek right there, or next to your waist, depending on how you're shooting that thing. But the dwell and everything is all timed again. Like they sat down and did all the math so that round happens in just the right amount of spot. They didn't waste any space. Like it's just all made for it. And I just really enjoy that gun. Like it's a machine that shoots those rounds. And yeah, the worst thing about it is probably rocking the mag in. But I mean, anybody who's shot one more than a weekend, you get it down. If you own one, you get it down. So it's awkward if you rent one. It's awkward if you shoot your friends. But once you own it, you play with it for a while, you get used to it. And it's just like a 1022. Everybody acts like a 1022 is so awesome. Try getting a mag out of a 1022. Like you have to have a magic little fidgety deal. Unless they've changed them, you have to do this like little fidgety thing to get a mag out of a 1022, right? So it's one of those.
Or you can get the tandem cross the Matador X that I have, and you have a paddle on it like an AK. But yeah, you're 100% right. I look at it the same way you do. An AK was meant to shoot 7.62 by 39. The AR was built to shoot 5.56. When you start messing with that, you start running into issues. And I believe you run into, I mean, the only issues I've really heard about 5.56 AKs that were built well, and not just put together horribly from parts kits by importers that are trying to make a dollar. So let's go ahead and put that out there. Is the cost of the magazines or availability of the 5.56 AK magazines. That's all I've ever heard negative about that. And that you're still stuck with the ergonomics of an AK, and also the ability or lack of ability to mount accessories on the AK because of how the AK was built. Flip side, when I hear about 7.62 by 39 ARs, many of them don't work when they're built like an AR-15 that takes the straight pop-in magazine of a AR, of a 5.56 AR. It's just a lot of stuff people say they don't work really well or they don't run. And I'm looking at this by Knights because Knights uses the rock-in magazine of an AK mag. So that's one thing you don't have to worry about. But I don't know how it runs, otherwise. I'm assuming it runs because it's CAC, but maybe it's not. It's not that much proliferation that I've heard of this out there. I knew it was made in the back of my head as one of those stories, but I've never seen a whole bunch of pictures of anybody operating operationally.
Yeah, no, yeah,
with one of
exactly.
these.
Nobody's used one. It's just a gun they made or something.
Yeah, and then you go to the CMMG version of it, which is still expensive, but the only people, again, like we spoke about, who I see you as using it are people that are getting paid or influencers that get them for free, and you don't see them, and you only see them when they make a video about it. And then when they show you their personal, this is my personal setup. It's never the CMMG Banshee and 7.62 by 39 ever from any of them ever. And then PSA is going to be a project gun because if Knight's Armament couldn't get it right, or maybe they did get it right, and then CMMG got it right, but it's $1,800, $700 in PSA. Maybe they got it right. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they have quality control. Maybe they don't. You need to check this out. Buyer beware. Or you can just buy a damn AK. But I got mine because I told you the reason I got mine. I still think it's fun. It definitely does recoil more because, again, you find a 30 cal bullet out of an AR, but pretty much it's supersonic 300 blackout at this point. So it's just going to recoil more because you're launching a 30 caliber bullet out of it. But get used to it. That's how it's going to work. If you can fire, I mean, I fired 458 SOCOM out of an AR. I fired 50 Beowulf out of an AR. ARs are very, very modular, and a whole bunch of stuff can be fired through it, but it's going to recoil differently. It's depending on the manufacturer. The reliability is going to be different. That's why I think AR is one of the coolest rifles out there because you can do so much with it. My guys had a 50 Beowulf at the diversity shoot, a 458 SOCOM at the diversity shoot, and I think even had a 450 Bushmaster there. And I've had one of my guys bring out a AR that shot 50 cal, single shot with a friggin' screw on the back of the cylinder screwed on. But we actually shot that at our Minuteman Challenge using 50 BMG with an AR lower. So I totally get why you'd want to play around with ARs and different calibers, but you got to make sure they work.
Sorry, I had to step away there. Thanks for keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Started raining here, and I had a bunch of laundry outside, so I had to go grab it all in. Right, a bunch of laundry drying outside, I should say. I was hearing what you're saying, though. Yeah, I don't disagree. And you made up you had a great point earlier when you talk about the not just the ergonomics of the AR, but the optics, the lack of optics on an AK. That wasn't a thing. They just never bothered. There's been some adaptations to the AK to give you places to put an optic, but I'm one of those types that likes iron sights still, so I never even think about optics when I think about it. So that's a great point. And then lights and all that kind of stuff, essentially the same thing. To put all that stuff on an AK is possible, but heavy. It's already a heavy gun. So, but I think it's more of like a shovel versus I don't know, something more, maybe a sword. Like, the sword is more elegant and the sword will be more effective. But if I'm just going into battle, like, I'll take a fucking shovel. Like, a shovel's going to last a good long time and I'll kill a bunch of people with a shovel if I have to. Like sort of the AK. It's not fancy. You can spruce it up, but it's just a shovel. And literally,
it's just a shovel.
Remember the shovel meme? Maybe that's too old for the 2024 audience. Do you think that's still a thing? The shovel AK?
Yeah, probably not. I don't know. Things go away and come back. Yeah, I remember it. Wait a minute. Hold on. The one they built out of it, or the one that had the shovel as a stock?
No, it was the same one. They built the gun out of the receiver out of the shovel part, and then used the stock or the handle as the stock in that same gun. I believe. Cool. I think so. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So comment if you remember that. I don't know what to call it. It was kind of a meme. It wasn't really a meme. It was just sort of a thing that happened, and everybody talked about it for a while. Yeah. And then it was in front of a joke for a while. Like after a while, it was like I can make my gun out of a shovel or something. Like it was kind of a go-to. I guess it was a meme for a while. Let's see. 500 saying 300 Blackout would probably take over the AR platform if we get rid of the stupid NFA because it's much better suppressed than 5.56. Well, I'm not anywhere near able to keep up with a conversation about ARs other than to understand that there's a lot of places to play with an AR, like a lot of ways you can change things on an AR to make it super appropriate for different things. And that's one of the coolest things about it. Yeah.
I think the popularity of 300 Blackout would go way up if we didn't have the NFA.
But also because of shorter barrels, because it doesn't need, like you said, it doesn't need the longer barrel for energy or anything. So it can be shorter, which is awesome because shorter barrel and suppressor means your overall gun length is still decent and even small sometimes.
And truthfully, what will happen, and this is just my opinion, everybody's giving an opinion, it's not going to be overnight. I don't even think it's going to come near taking over for 5.56. What will happen if the NFA went away tomorrow? One, Bryce is out the window and everybody has an SBR, or a lot of people have an SBR. Just because it's shorter, if you use it for home defense, it swings around easier. It's a lighter weight. Then, of course, there's going to be the run on suppressors because everybody's going to want one because it's not as loud, it looks cooler, and all of a sudden the range is a lot quieter. And that's going to happen. But just the price alone is going to have to come way down before people start buying it over 5.56. I mean, subsonic 300 Blackout. How much does that cost compared to just regular old 55 grain 5.56 that everybody's shooting at the range? So I don't think it's going to be that quick, but I think a lot of other things is going to change too. So who knows what'll happen after that? I mean, it'll make just sense, in my opinion, to have pistol caliber carbines, AR that fire 45 ACP, and you can throw a suppressor on it. And now I don't have to worry about specialized ammo or anything at all. It's just 45 ACP. We were talking about that on the podcast Tuesday, because we were talking about when you get a subsonic 300 Blackout, it's about 200 grains, right? 200 grains, 220 grain at the speed of 45 ACP. Like 800, 900 feet per second. I'm like, then why not get that? And it came down to, well, what fires it? How many ARs fire a 45 ACP round? You have to pretty much build one. Call Valley, I think, makes some stuff. There's a couple companies that make 45 ACP bolts and barrels for ARs, but not that many. I just wish I lived in a free place where I could actually afford and own suppressors, because I want to check it out. I want to explore it. And I think of weird stuff to do sometimes with a firearm because it's a question. Like, why not have it in this caliber? Like, I still own 40 Smith & Wesson for a couple of reasons. Always on the shelf, even in a run. It's the last caliber that disappears. 40 Smith & Wesson is still as effective as it always was. I mean, 9mm kind of caught up with some of the 40 Smith and Wesson defensive ammo, but it's still slightly better than 9.
That's exactly what happened. And then a couple of people were like, you know what, this 147 grain, blah, 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 is a little bit better than it was before. So let's jump back from 40 over there because of our tender wrists or whatever. And then everybody was like, well, hell, if he's doing it, I'm doing it. If she's doing it, I'm doing it. And if they're doing it, I have to do it because I can't do nothing that they don't do. But that's exactly how it happened. Exactly how it happened. And it was the 147 grain, whatever. I can remember whatever year that was, 8 or 9 or something, where everybody started
all
going,
of a sudden,
I heard that 147 grain is almost as effective as 40. And then it's like, I've been looking for an excuse to get rid of 40. Give me that 9.
It recoils a lot and it hurts. Oh, the capacity's so different. You mean 2 rounds?
Yeah, exactly.
The difference between 15 and 13, bro? That's what you're going to hang your hat on. Okay. I was talking to the guys after the show yesterday, but I mean, not yesterday, Tuesday night, because we're all gun geeks. I'm sorry, we talked prior to our show. After the show, everybody goes off in the different directions. But prior to the show, we're talking about it. And I'm like, you know how many fads have come and gone, and the stuff that Sean, my partner back in the day, and I talked about on our early podcast of 2A4E, we were right. We were right about a lot of this stuff. We were talking about retro and the fact that both of us felt that a carry and handle with the sights and everything set up of ARs, even M16A2, were lightweight compared to when you started getting, now understand, pick rail, the quad rails with all the metal on it, and flip up sights and red dot and magnifier. And of course, you have to have your light. And some dudes were even doing lasers back then. So you've turned what, in essence, was a 7-pound rifle for the A1 and an 8-pound rifle for the A2 into nearly a 12-pound rifle with all the accoutrement on it. And I'm like, and you're still just shooting it at the range, dude. Now, all of a sudden, how many manufacturers are out there putting out retro rifles today? All over the place.
I wonder how much of that is, we can finally go into the shed and get that stuff that didn't sell for years and sell it. But
no, I don't think it's much of that because I was talking to Colt, and I was talking to Colt, the Colt reps, because Colt had their M16A1 that came out, and it was like $2,400 when everyone else was putting theirs out. When Brownell came out with their whole line, and it was like $1,200 to $1,400. They bought theirs as surplus from the Philippines. So they weren't sitting in warehouses. These things have gone to other countries. And what they were doing was picking them up from other countries that had upgraded from the Vietnam era stuff that we sent to them in the 70s and 80s. The companies are going back to them in the 2010s and 2015s and buying them back.
Colt was?
Yeah,
or
so,
the other companies?
Well, Colt did. I think the other companies just went ahead and made them. I know Brownell did.
Yeah, okay.
Made new stuff. And then the surplus market was full of dudes like me who were like, this stuff was decent. When you have an AR with a 20-inch barrel, iron sights, and it weighs 7 pounds or less, 6 pounds, you got something that's pretty decent. You figure out how to put a light on it, you have a okay home defense firearm. And then when Brownells came out with their 4X, the old school 4X, that was a reproduction of what Colt made for their optic, it kind of was like, you know what? The advances we made gave you a lot more options if you're using them. But if you're not using them, what's the point of that heavy ass quad rail if all you're going to do is hang one flashlight off the front end?
Well, that's what I was going to say is the quad rail was the result of we need a light on there, and then people with nods wanted, people with night vision wanted lasers on there. So because you can essentially be lights off and just have your infrared laser. People think lasers are lasers that you can see, but most of the time it's infrared laser. So you have your night vision on, you can hold your gun at your hip, and you can see essentially the path that the bullet's going to go down. I mean, essentially, not exactly, but essentially. So then, you can put rounds on target effectively at night, and that's what we do. We own the night, so it makes a lot of sense. And if people want to emulate that, awesome. But the problem is that, like you said, they would extrude a bunch of aluminum to create the stuff because they were at first they were like, oh, that gives you all the options to move the light anywhere you want. Well, nobody wants the light back by their mag well. They figured that out pretty quick. And, they only need it up front. So then they went to a bunch of smooth options that didn't last very long because now you don't have nowhere to hold on to. It's not strong enough and blah, blah, blah. So they just started to extrude different thinner shapes and then just put some, actually probably extruded of normal and then cut away most of it. But essentially that's what you're getting today is some version of a basket weave looking, is that the right word? Like a knit, some sort of a structure that they can remove as much as possible, but they've engineered it so that it's still strong because they're making them rugged. I'm not saying they're all wimpy. There's probably a couple that are wimpy, but most of them are pretty strong. But they essentially just put that rail out where you need it, or don't even put rail. Then they went to the what do you call them? Like the slots, the various slots that let you put a piece of rail where you want it. And that's all we had is essentially we want to put lights on there. Sometimes we need to put lights on there. We want to put lasers on there. Give us a place to do it. And the industry took like a decade to figure that out. And now it's, hey, remember what we used to use? And that was cool. But I think that's a bit of nostalgia.
Yeah, I'm sitting here right now with my Palmetto State 9mm upper that only has cutouts on the side at at 3 and 9, and I can either put in Picatinny rail here or I can do some M-lock something or other in that slot. But at the, what is this position? 1 o'clock position, there's just big holes cut. And at the 10 o'clock position on the side, big holes cut. 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock, just big holes cut in it. So it's as lightweight as possible. And I have a flashlight mounted. I have it with a Glock mag in it and my red dot on it. What about backup sights? No, I don't have any backup sights on it. This right now is made for operationally in my home if I have to defend it, or taking it to the range and letting people shoot this for the diversity shoot. And of course, being in Jersey, I have to have it pinned and the muzzle device welded. But that's what this is set up for. And it doesn't weigh too much for new shooters who've never held a gun before to go, oh my goodness, this thing is heavy. Oh, and I take the flashlight off when I take it to diversity shoots. So it's definitely as lightweight as possible to introduce people to firearms for the first time. Maybe I'm going to take time to actually build a dedicated firearm for myself to use for home defense, that I can put everything on it and just run it as my gun. You know what I mean? When I take classes, because that's something I'm planning on doing. I want to do a series to introduce people to taking classes locally instead of running around trying to hook up with every national ranked instructor. Save yourself about 50% of the cost and the hotel room and the travel fee, and just take something at your local range within an hour or two of your house. I want to go on that little adventure with people and, put my money where my mouth is, because I've taken local instruction. Obviously, I'm a local instructor. But my whole thing is, come out, take a class. Don't just take your CCW qualification and think you're done. That's just level 1, step 1 of firearms ownership as a responsible firearms owner. It's taking a class and getting the permission from the government. My whole thing is being able to run your gun under pressure, and also fellowship and meet other people like you in different places and not spend a gang of money. I mean, the difference in between a 2-day class with a local instructor and a 2-day class with a famous instructor, it's like 50%, if not more, that you save right off the bat. Like the Chris Costa class I took was $750.
So I'm going to say it's like, I like to use the guitar analogy or piano or something like that, an instrument. So you can buy the instrument, nobody cares, and now you own the instrument, and you could probably smack on it or play with, fiddle with it, and figure something out. And you're not probably going to hurt anybody, and you're going to figure it out maybe, but more than likely you're going to get discouraged because you won't grow at any, you won't get better at any significant pace. unless you're some kind of prodigy or whatever, right? So you're probably going to then go, maybe I'll read a book or something. And there's definitely books on all this stuff, right? And reading the book is like reading a book on how to cook or reading a book on how to do martial arts. Like, it tells you some of the concepts, but there's no practice, right? There's no instruction, and there's no practice, and there's no like understanding. There's just some, some awareness. So then you're going to go take a class. And I don't disagree with you. Like, you can take a class locally, and it's going to be like taking a guitar class local, or guitar course from a local person. There's going to be times when you take it from somebody who's kind of not good, and then there's going to be times where the guy's essentially could have been a rock star, but he's decided to teach guitar instead, right? So there's going to be that range, but it's definitely going to be one-on-one, or like, let's get together with 3 or 4 of my other students and jam out once in a while, or maybe we even go to a bar and jam out so you can get some experience. It's going to be a little bit of coaching, but essentially it's my perspective, my point of view, and you're going to learn my style of, you wanted to learn Spanish guitar, but I only know rock, so you're learning rock. So that's where you can get to like your high-end instructors are going to be like, I want to go learn from, I don't know if there's a high-end guitar instructor. I'm just going to have to say somebody like, somebody who's in a rock or something. But now you might want to go to learn from somebody who plays Spanish guitar or classical guitar, or I don't know, bluegrass, some other type of guitar playing. And that's where classes are interesting. Now, I personally find that if I went to a lot of firearms instructions, a lot of firearms classes, but I liked watching the instructors. So I liked the difference between, like, let's say there was one instructor I can remember who was a Border Patrol officer. So a guy who did essentially like office work for the Border Patrol. He wasn't like out doing stuff, but he was running departments and sectors of the Border Patrol. So he was like an officer, and his CCW class was, you can imagine, like a lecture, like a PowerPoint presentation. It was super factual, super intense. You learned a lot, but I don't know if the guy ever drew a gun before. And, but he had a lot of credential and a lot of interesting things. And then I've taken classes from a guy who was like, the state makes us do this for 8. This is back when the class was 8 hours. The state, or maybe it was back when it was 16 hours. I can't remember. I think it went from 16 to 8 when I did mine, or one of them. And because we have to take them. Or no, we never had to take them. We only had to take one. I did the one I had to take, though, of all the classes I've taken. And one of the reasons I started taking more classes is because of this. But my first class I took was a guy who said, the state makes us do this for 8 hours. So first, let's go shoot. And we went shooting. And then he's like, now anybody who wants to stick around can watch my astronomy collection pictures or something. Like, we just farted around. He's like, go do whatever the fuck you want. Fuck the state. And I was like, right on. Like, I'm all about that. But I also want to see more instructions, see different kinds of instructors' approaches to this. So I've seen, a variety of them. So I really liked the differences between instructors. And there's some instructors who, like, I wanted to grow up and be an instructor one day, and guns was a thing. Like, they care about being an instructor. They really get off on it. They just don't know nothing about what they're talking about. Or it takes such a back seat that even if they did know something, they're more worried about teaching you. What it is, they could care less, but they're there to teach you. So you're going to learn. And that's those kind of classes I get pretty annoyed at. You can't know, because some of those are really big people and some of those are little, just smaller. But anyway, that's what I would say. My analogy is that you're going to do firearms instruction. You get firearms instruction from a Navy SEAL. You get firearms instruction from a SWAT cop. You get firearms instruction from a person who's never done any of those things, but has carried their entire adult life. And now you get CCW instruction from somebody who's an activist who creates awareness and is constantly traveling and has been to every state and has been in classes and in different situations with hundreds, if not thousands of different people. And what are those 3-4 classes going to be like? None of one of them's better than the other, but don't just take one class and think you've had firearms instruction. Like, firearms instruction is some of the coolest shit out there. And it's some of the most annoying thing I can ever hear people talk about, because I like it so much that it drives me nuts when people are really boring about it. And there's a lot of boring stuff, but at the same time, I would stop anyone who suggests we have to have it, because what the hell? If you can pick, if you can own a guitar and strum on it, then, and you're happy with that, good. If you can own a gun and put it in your drawer and you're happy, good. That's all you need to be able to do. Just keep it safe in your drawer.
we're on the same page. I don't think it's necessary. And I really do think if you want to advance with something, if you want to get better at it or try different things, it definitely that's where it comes in at. But a lot of people have been fooled, bullied, cajoled into believing, oh, if you don't take a big name instructor's class, are you really running a gun? And it's like, yeah, I can run a gun shooting pictures of zombies or shooting garbage. Increasing your skill set with something, you can do it over time, watching YouTube videos and trial and error, or you can cut down on that time and that amount of money that you're going to spend and picking up habits that may be bad by taking formal instruction from someone. But sometimes, especially when you just get into it, you don't know whether that instructor is a good instructor or a bad instructor. He just gave you instruction. So I think it's important to take a similar class or another class from another instructor, figure out how they say stuff, do stuff, things you might have missed with the first guy, you pick up with the second lady. You know what I mean? Oh, and don't stick to just dudes and don't stick to doing classes with just guys with military experience or law enforcement experience, because that's also the different force use. And getting civilian firearm training from a citizen that has to live under the same rules all citizens do is different than getting firearms instruction from someone that could do something like lay down suppressive fire and maneuver. If that was their training, they're going to tell you something different, maybe, or at least they have a different thought process.
Well, that's the
Even though they
thing.
might-
That's not like they're like, I only know how to do shoot and move.
Mhm.
You know, like. But the thing is, when that's your thing, and you come into civilian, what you're going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to go research how to teach civilians, and you're going to teach civilians. It's just different from somebody like.
Mhm.
I always think of the SWAT cop, the guy. Dang, give me a second.
Which one?
Pat Rogers. Took me a second because people don't say his name enough. But Pat Rogers was a dynamic law enforcement officer. He was a Marine first, and then was
Yep.
a SWAT cop in New York. So he was like a lot of time on a gun, a lot of different scenarios, because we don't have that kind of, like you said, we have a different rules of engagement than a SWAT cop. But Pat Rogers was very like specific in the way that he would instruct. And then you get, I don't know, you get to Pat, what's his name from out here? Cooper was a LA cop or an LA state trooper and in a race gun, like sports shooter. So he might have been a Marine or something.
He was a Marine. He was a colonel in the Corps, lieutenant colonel.
Okay. So, but was he a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps? Is not. I mean, if he was like on the ground in World War II and then a lieutenant colonel retired, but I don't know does he have like combat time? Like, I don't know. I don't ever got like
I
a combat
don't know.
time. But again, I don't want to act like I fucking know. I'm just trying to pick examples of people that, again, I always say like Navy and Army. Like if we're in a helicopter, we're going to shoot down. We're going to hold our guns down because we don't want to shoot engines up in the air above us. And if you're in a boat, you're going to hold your guns up because you don't want to shoot holes in the boat you're in. And it's not like Navy's wrong or Army's wrong. It's just that we're in a different vehicle, so we're going to hold our guns differently. And we're actually pointing at each other half the damn time. And we can deal with that because we know we're doing that, right? But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no right or wrong. It's just understand there's differences. And that's the fun part, is going and finding those differences.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is too many people, and that's what, I guess, when I get discouraged or my eyes roll, is when somebody's been to one type, and then that's the type, and it's the only type, and this is why their type is right all the time, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, maybe if you were like black belt, you spent your whole life in that type, you've experienced all the others, and you still think that type is the way to go, then yeah. But to people that have only been in one or two classes and that's all they ever talk about, it's fun, it's frustrating, because that's just like anything, well, I've been to, two concerts, and I think this is the best music group. Like, okay, you can go to more concerts than that and get a bigger experience.
Yep. And that's where I'm at with it. You don't have to take a class, but please, if you take a class, you're going to have fun. You're going to learn some stuff, and you're going to learn different things with different people. I enjoyed every class I've taken because it came from different people. And of course, you can learn on your own. You watch videos, you do all that kind of stuff. I think it's fun. We have some people that collect certificates, and that's fine too, because the industry needs to live and grow. But for me, I like taking classes because it challenges myself. I can bring the things I've learned to the range, and I can also suggest to people that you take classes because you might not like the way this person teaches, but you might love the way this other person teaches. But don't become an acolyte of that person, or even worse, I guess, a disciple. Then
Yeah,
whatever they
that's
say is golden. It's like, bro, let it go. He has a point of view, and a really good instructor will give you multiple points of view from their own experience, especially if they see you not getting it. They'll just tell you another way to do it. And that's what I enjoy. I enjoy that because me taking classes as an instructor makes me a better instructor.
yeah. See, that would be interesting too to start because I've taken a lot of classes, but back in the day, right? And it was definitely like you're saying, the disciples are of so and so. Like I'm the disciple of Cooper. I'm the disciple
Mhm.
of somebody else. I'm the disciple of somebody else. And there was like maybe 5 different ways of coming at it. And or maybe there was more than that, and it's just easiest to think of it as 5 different directions. But there was definitely more than one way of approaching things, and like whether or not close up was necessary, for example, like whether or not that was
Mhm.
silly, right? Whether or not
Mhm.
revolvers are silly. Like there's some of people who take revolvers seriously, and other people think they're ridiculous, antiquated, and it's those kind of doctrines maybe that you would go to a course and then another course would be drastically different. But it was also a time in history where how many people could even strive to be a gun instructor, and then how many people could follow through on it. Nowadays we need more than ever, plenty of people are able and interested and willing, and it's just there's no way to explain how, I'm going to say the word diverse, but just like how multifaceted there's going to be people that are still true disciples of Cooper or this or that, but now you can have disciples of like Shelley Hill, right? Is that her name? Shelley from Complete Combatant. Like, then you can have disciples that are probably coming out of the Girl in a Gun conferences. That conference is
Mhm.
many years strong now, with 1,000 ladies. Can you imagine the training dogmas? I don't know if that's the right word, but just the
True.
versions that are coming out of there because they're getting honed. They're probably getting shaped. And now that there's so many female carrying, every class I ever took was don't carry off body, and then let's keep moving on. There was no appendix. There was no question of a shoulder holster. And if ladies were going to carry, you're going to wear a belt. Get a belt and start carrying. Who cares if you're a lady? Get a belt. Start carrying on your
Mhm.
belt. So that,
Oh,
ladies
dude.
are like, nope, we're not doing that no more. So that's totally different. And well, again, and here's, I don't know, and I know it gets a little reckless because let's say there's somebody who has a body shape where I can draw from here, and then somebody else has a body shape where if I draw from here and shoot myself, then I'm going to be on the internet for the rest of the time shooting myself, right? So
Yep.
there's got to be an element of that. So yeah, it would be amazing to go travel the country and just, I used to audit them. I don't know
Dude.
if I'll still allow people to do that. I would
Yeah.
just take the class for free and review it. And people were thrilled to have me show up. And I was like, I'm not going to give away every secret of the class. I'm just going to try to show the class. And once I did a few of them, like blog posts, essentially, other instructors were like, oh yeah, for sure. Please do that. It's essentially free advertising for my course. And then for me, like I said, I got to experience the class and the instructor without having to pull a gun out, so I wasn't focused on if I was shooting good or sweating or
Mhm.
nothing. Like I was just constant. I was just like literally a fly on the wall. I loved it. So if you're interested in doing something like that, I mean, back in the day, it was as easy as asking, and I had maybe a couple of
I actually
weekends.
used to I love those because I used to read them. I used to go through and read the suckers because I thought it was interesting how other people taught. And this is before I started teaching classes
Oh yeah, this was well
because,
after action. Should I go grab it? It's from like say mid 2000s probably.
Mhm. Yeah, because I started in 2012 and I really wanted to be able to teach people the fundamentals. I wanted you to have that basic fundamental. This is the reputation Sean and I said we wanted. When a student came, when an instructor came to us and go, "Hey, one of your students signed up for my, number one class or my, gunfighting 101 class," and I knew that he was going to be a solid student, that I didn't have to watch like a hawk because he'd taken your class because I knew he had the fundamentals down of firearm safety and he's able to hit the target. That's the rep I wanted. Not that I created operators, but that I actually put students out that were safe to be around, and you didn't have to fear they were going to kill you by accident. Nice.
And those were the years. So it looks like I started in 6 with tactical response, and while I was reviewing that, the guy from Front Sight was like posting on the forums, and I was like, "What are you trying to blah blah? Like, get out of here with your ads." And he's like, "No, really, we're awesome. Come on up." So boom, took all these classes at Front Sight, and then I was hooked. So I was like, "Hell, anybody that comes near Tucson, I'm going to ask them if I can come to their class." And I had a couple maybe say no, but it was mostly no because I don't know you, and this is a military only class, so I can understand the no.
Mhm.
And then after a while, it was like, "Oh, you can come to the military only classes, just don't bring your camera." So that was there's ones in here that aren't even listed because I didn't review them. So it got to that where, and then there's other ones when friends were just like, "Hey, we're doing something. Can we come down to Tucson and take pictures for us?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah," because we got plenty of cool ranges. You know, it looks nice with the mountains and stuff sometimes. And they knew that they could come down and hang out. So obviously it stopped at some point because I moved on. But yeah, that was many years of fun. And like I said, it would be neat to. I would like to get traveling again. Sooner or later, I will potentially get back on the road again. And in addition to the museums and gun shops and gun shows, it would be cool to, like I said, I don't want to drag around with guns and try to be a gunfighter when I'm old like this, but I definitely like to watch some of these classes happen and see how people instruct. If you got time,
I agree with you, dude. Yeah, go ahead, bro. What's up?
I was to say, if you got time, we got another question from 500 Magnum.
Yeah.
And since I was farting around here, I already brought up with my series of videos or whatever. So he said, do y'all have any experience with Springfield XT9, the HS2000? I like the look of that gun, but I may just go with the Glock 17 because I'm already used to the Glock platform and have the holsters. I hate the Springfields, and it's because of, one, I owned one and I didn't like it, and I felt like I got suckered into it. And then two, because I hate Springfield, the company. So I'm allowed to hate them, and I don't get paid by them, and I don't get paid by anybody else. So I just hate them because of their what they've done, and I feel like I'm allowed to continue acknowledging that. That being said, their guns are like out of 10, I'm going to give them like a 6, 7 because they're kind of good. They're rugged. But what the fuck grip safety? This is 2000. Well, it's literally an HS 2000, and they put a grip safety on it. Like, I don't know how out of touch, tone deaf you could be, but you're going to go to all the trouble of making that gun turkey. Like, take the damn grip safety out of it. So for that reason, I always hated it. But then the thing that got me is I was getting back into guns, and I went to the gun shop, and they had the HS2. Well, they had the Springfields with 2 different grips. I was hoping in this video you'd see it. I guess I don't have one in here, but you know, they had like the compact one, and then you'd buy the compact one would come in a kit with a holster and some other shit. And that's one of the reasons they got you as a new gun owner, because it's off the screen. Like, oh, I don't know what all I need to buy. Oh, but if I buy this set, maybe I'm going to open the box here. Look what I get. I get a loader, and I get a different holster, and I get a mag carrier. Oh my goodness. It's like I'm getting a whole department store's worth of shit. But then when you bought a compact, right? Here, I'm about to do it. You get it. Am I allowed to do this on the internet anymore? Oh shit. This might be, who knows how this live thing is going to go. Let's see if I get tapped for this. But essentially what I'm about to do is jam. Let me just fast forward so it just happens magically. Oh shit, I happened too far. So I essentially jam this mag with a little sleeve on it into the bigger gun. And I thought that was the coolest shit. I was like, this is better than James Bond. This is amazing. So I bought it like a sucker. And then like literally like 15 minutes later, I figured out how guns work, and I got back into guns more. Like, you know, I've always been into guns, but I wasn't paying attention. And I bought that stupid SIG, or what is it, XD. And XD. then I'm like, Glock? Did I already own a Glock? I don't really remember anymore. I'd have to really put some thought into this, but I can remember being like offended that I bought this XD, because as soon as I started hanging out at the gun shop more and figuring it out, I'm like, look at this thing. It's like it's designed, it's marketed for the person who doesn't know what's going on. So, I mean, If you love them, I'm sorry I'm hurting your tender feelings or whatever, but this gun is marketed to people that aren't familiar with guns yet, and it's like a load of shit. It's sort of like a drill that has all the extra bits and things that you're never going to need, but they sell it at the Home Depot to the guy who needs I don't know which drill to buy. So anyway, I just think of it as like a commodity gun that is appealing to the new gun owner, the novice, and it's not that it's bad, but it has a grip safety, so it is bad. I really don't like grip safeties because I live where there's rocks. I live in literally everywhere there's rocks. In my house right now, there's rocks, like little tiny rocks like this, right? It comes in on your shoes and whatever. It'll just come in with the dogs. Like you're bringing a package, there's a little bit of gravel, and that's exactly the kind of shit that jams up a grip safety. And people will fight me all the time, and I'm like, Murphy's Law exists because the worst thing's going to happen at the worst time. That's not just a saying, it's just been like that since the beginning of time. So why would you open yourself up for an instance for Murphy's Law to happen to you? Is that too old an analogy? Do people know what Murphy's Law is anymore?
I don't even know.
But those are my reasons for the XD. Otherwise, it's a solid gun. It does look kind of cool. I don't like it anymore because now they say like grip zone or whatever on them. I kind of liked that you got everything at the same time. But like I say, once I kind of got into it, I was like, you know what? This is like that shitty introductory drill you buy. It's not a bad drill, but they know that you're buying it. You're immediately going to buy something else. But I don't know. Anyway, do you have and then the other thing is when you buy the compact, it's got a rail on it. Except little do they tell you in 2000 and whatever this was, probably 2006 for me. You're not going to find no light for that rail. Are you kidding me? It's like it's cosmetic as best. But that being said, it's definitely a strong gun. Like it's not falling apart, and it wasn't super heavy. It was better than a metal gun, I suppose. But the grip safety.
All right, so,
anyway, I'll shut up. What do you think? What's yours?
Okay, let's go ahead and start it right off. I have an issue with Springfield Armory and the dirt they pulled in 2016 in Illinois. I don't know whether they were genuine, disingenuous, whether it was a mistake, whatever the heck. That's in the past, but I still look at him with a jaundiced eye. Number two, because you said he already has a Glock, you have the better of the two guns at this point. So if I'm going to get a secondary striker-fired polymer handgun, I'm not taking the step down, and I consider the step down to go with an XD. And we asked the guys on the podcast, and I'm talking about we're firearms owners with a lot of years experience, even when my guy Zane was there, when TJ was there. So we're going back, almost 10 years of guests. Nobody walks into the gun store and looks for the XDs. Like, oh, cool, new gun shop. Let me check out the XD collection.
Correct. Like, I wonder if they have that cool XD I can never get because everybody buys it. Like,
yeah, just not there. And that's not an indicator that it's a bad gun. I'm just saying when it comes to the firearms, you check out Smith & Wesson, you check out Glock. CZ is coming up now, so a lot more people, deal with CZ than before. Then there's all the double stacks, 1911s and everything else. It's just not named. And even if you look at how many PD police departments or even federal agencies, nobody carries that damn thing compared to the number of agencies that carry Glocks, Smith & Wessons, SIGs, or even HKs. There's got to be a reason for that. Now, I don't also like the way they shoot. Not that they shoot horrible, and I got a friend that runs hers in competition, but not really a thing, man. And I know some of their guys who are, Springfield shooters, but like sponsored, but they don't shoot an XD. So I'm just putting all that out there. As far as XD is concerned, that wouldn't be a striker fire polymer gun that I would invest in when I can invest in a plethora of others to check out. Even as a secondary guy. Like right now, one of the things I want to look at is the TSOS PX9. And that's because they're on their Gen 3. It takes P226 mags. It uses Glock sights, and it comes with side plates, pretty much like a HKP 30. So you can figure out what your hand grip is, that what works for you. And I dry fired it. I talked to the guys at TSOS. So just as an interesting secondary gun that is interesting and doesn't cost a lot of money comparatively to other stuff. And much like XD, you get a whole bunch of stuff in the box, and you can use XD holsters. It looks kind of like a SD if you like the XD look, and it doesn't have the grip safety. So it looks like an XD. It takes P226 mags. It takes Glock sights. And it
Is
uses
this that
XD
new
holster.
one that looks exactly like one?
It doesn't look exactly like one, but yeah,
Oh, okay. Really, really close.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've
They
seen
look
people
close
talking
enough.
about them.
Yeah. Yeah, they look close enough that they could be related.
If they took the grip safety off of it and made amends to the state of Illinois and somehow to the rest of everybody by doing so good to the state of Illinois, then yeah, I don't have the problem with the gun. Like it's a decent, even though it's made in Turkey or whatever, it's a strong gun, but that grip safety is my issue.
Yeah. So, the XD is made in Slovakia or wherever.
No,
wherever.
Turkey.
What the P? Oh, really? It's made in Turkey.
I think so. Austria-Hungary, isn't that Turkey? No, I don't know. I think it's Turkey though.
No. Anyway, my whole thing is this.
I don't know Europe.
I don't like it.
Europe's
I don't like it.
all the same.
Yeah, I don't know Europe. I don't care. It's all the way over there. I don't like it compared to everything else. I fired the 10mm XDM Elite at SHOT Show. Did not like even that. Friend of mine, she has 45 ACP, 5.2 inch barrel or 5.5 inch barrel one. That thing ran like a champ, but I think she did a lot of tinkering with it to get it that way. So,
Are they made in Croatia?
again, yeah, I said Croatia.
Okay, I know they have a
It
name
was
of a
not coming.
country.
Yeah, they made in Croatia. So my whole thing is no. I would pick at least 5 other guns, manufacturers, polymer striker fire gun before I pick the next.
I've just been scrolling through your Instagram. If you jam down on your mouse, you get this little circle that shows up, and then depending on how far away you move from that mouse, it'll just scroll. So I like to do that every once in a while. Instagram hates it, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they don't like showing. They don't like people scrolling. They like people caring about what's happening today. But I do like that they let you do this. I think it's really neat. And it gives you an idea of what Tony's doing over there. Having fun, doing his thing, sharing, reposting once in a while. And it's advocacy. Every once in a while you see some gun stuff. And, well, this was quite a while. I mean, I guess I don't have to click on it if you can remember. It's probably a training learn with all the different people. I'm just thinking what
one that's okay. This was lately. That was actually what was that?
It only went back a year. Yeah.
Yeah, because I post almost every day.
Yeah.
We got my diversity shoots. You got me and the little girl down there who's awesome. We got that as my volunteer youth. We got Christy from Hella Foundation. We got Triggerology, who's an ad with the orange shirt on and the AR right there. He's out of California. He fights for our rights there. There's Kevin Dixie at the bottom at the train and learn I went to last year. That's the Thumper suppressed 45 ACP, integrally suppressed 45 ACP from Tactical Firearms down in Florida. Tactical Light Firearms down in Florida. They actually brought that. And I did the picture with it. I did a little video that said what it was. And right as I put my hot little hands on the magazine, they cease fire and call a range code for the day. So I didn't get to shoot it, man. I was ticked, bro. I'm like, I should have just went ahead and jumped on it and put rounds down range and then taken a picture. So, of course, this year, I was like, yo, where's the 45? And they were like, oh, we didn't bring it. So I didn't get to shoot it. That's our show. This is back.
Copyright me. What is this one?
It's over in the side. Gen 3, Glock 4.5, Gen 3. Spring plate adapter, I guess. Oh, that's from Matador Arms, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's in the
Does it have a mag well up front, or is it in the He says Ruger. Did Ruger just give us an
Hold on.
MP7?
Yep, it's the Ruger LC Charger in 5.7.
Oh shit! Where's the? Oh, is it just got a little goofy magazine like a 1022 in it right now?
It uses the magazine and the pistol grip. It uses actually, I think it uses the 5.7 mag.
Oh, so
From
shit.
FM.
That's like, what are they? 30 round mags? Nice.
20 something round max. Actually, he SBR this. What's his name? What's that
Oh,
guy's
okay.
name? Coolio Noir. Coolio Noir eventually SBR'd it, and I think it's a really cool thing, especially if it runs. If you want something lightweight like that, it can be one of those bag guns that you carry around or have it in your truck gun. Because of the lightweight, especially if you SBR it or have another pistol. And no, somebody asked that question: can we have pistol rifles here in Jersey? No, we can't have like an AR pistol, but what we can have is a non-NFA rifle, which has, I think, the overall length of even 26, 27 inches overall.
Like a
It's
firearm.
virtually it's virtually an AR pistol, but it has to have a vertical grip on it. It somehow falls between.
It's a firearm. It falls between every definition or something, right?
Yeah, it falls between every definition. So we can't have the pistol, but you can have something the exact same size as a damn AR pistol, but have a vertical grip on it, and it's illegal. So that's the craziness we have to deal with here. And they're going to be sued, or actually, they're getting sued over that currently, along with a plethora of other things, and they're going to take an L eventually on all of it. And I can't wait because I want to get those kind of things out to people at diversity shoots because I think it knocks the weight down on it and it gives you a hell of a lot more options. So when I can get a person that's shooting guns for the first time to have a 5.5 pound AR with an optic, with sights, and with flashlight, it may get to 6 pounds. But this can be their home defense gun. This can be their fun gun. This is the thing they can take out and introduce friends to firearms with. I think that would be great.
Well, I don't pay attention, so I didn't know about this. But it's a 5.7. What do they call it? Which version of Ruger?
All right. How about now? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Did I get lost?
I don't know what it was because I had a little swirling mark on mine, so I might have dropped off for a second. But I didn't hear you. You said you don't pay attention.
LC Charger. It's called the Charger.
Yep.
So the Charger is their PC 9, but now in 5.7, and they jam the mag up into there. I'm gonna go around saying the 5.7 is the 9mm killer. It's gonna be once that 9mm fad's over, 5.7 is gonna take over. That's my new campaign.
Hey man,
I'm gonna invest heavily in 5.7. Exactly. All right. So I'm gonna say let's start wrapping it up. We're at 2 hours and 22 minutes, and I ran it so late last time we ended up BSing offline, which is half the reason we do this, so we can BS offline. But I just have to go do some stuff later on, so I want to end this so we don't have to get too pressured here.
Yep.
But thanks everybody for joining us. If we're missing anything, let me know. Tony's going to tell us about the next diversity shoot that's coming up, and that'll give you a chance if you got any questions that are good for this show or this episode, or if we miss something. We do have a bunch of people joining us, a ton of people over on the X. You're allowed to be part of the show. So you watch CNT Design said, and it's AOW, and I'm able to put that on the screen. Krabby Turtle said, and it's all as well. Coop, how about you? See, this is the kind of stuff that's happening. Mr. Knives dishing out candy bars. Those are chocolate bars right on the screen. Why? Because they're all typing. You're allowed to do that on X. It'll show up over here, and we can put it up on the screen. But anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. If you want to be part of it, be part of it. But Tony, what's the next? Or as we're wrapping up, what do you got coming?
Yep.
That way.
All right. So now, finally, we got 4 diversity shoots going throughout the state. We're going to have 2 in the month of July. That's what my next one is. The next one is July 18th at We Shoot in Lakewood, New Jersey. It's the first time we're having it at We Shoot. If you're listening to me, please, because if you're on X, go to X and share what I have pinned to the top of the page. That's the announcement about We Shoot. We need word out because it's a totally new region of New Jersey. We need to let people know we're there. Because I need to put asses in seats at that first one to let the range know it works out like they want it to work out. It's a great plan to have diversity shoot there. So please share it. The very next week on the 25th of July, I think that's when the last Thursday in July is. We're going to be at Union Hill Gun Club in Monroe, New Jersey. And it's an awesome place. We got ROCK training there. They just opened up their own gun store there. So it's one-stop shopping and it's a gun club. It's not a public range, but coming to the diversity shoot for $20, you can be in there and you can have fun and you can shoot in their place and you can check out their gun store and you get to meet a firearms instructor that's not only a friend of mine, but a very, very good firearms instructor in the state of New Jersey, one of the best. And you get to hang out with us, smoke cigars afterwards if you want. Visit diversityshoot.com and you can see our schedule and show up at whichever one you want. Also, follow me on eventbrite.com under Tony Simon, and you'll get notified every time tickets come for sale. So we have 2 events coming up in the month of July. Hope to see you at either one of them. Either we shoot at Lakewood, New Jersey, or Union Hill Gun Club in Monroe, New Jersey. What else do I have going on? We have the Gun and Gear Review podcast that I'm on every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we usually on for about an hour and a half when we're talking about specific firearms every week, including reviews, like the review I'm writing today for the Volsteed Raccoon aluminum, the Volsteed Raccoon knife. And it's pretty cool. Can't wait to get it out there and let you guys know what's up. Let me see. So that's that. Diversity Shoots. I think that's it. Oh, yeah. And the Second is for Everyone podcast. That'll be coming out soon because they changed their policies over in Anchor. And I have to jump through some hoops to get back on air there. And I can't wait to put out the latest 2A, 4E podcast. I'm either on 99 or episode 100. I forget which. But that's what I'm up to. That's what I'm doing. Give me a follow on X. It's Second for Everyone. Give me a follow on Simon Says Train on Instagram, Simon Says Train on Facebook, and the Second is for Everyone on Facebook. Thank you very much. I love the fact that you just rolling through. So,
yeah, that's great.
Because one of the things I took, one of the classes I took was social media class at the Ambassador Academy. And they were like, look, when you scroll through, people have to be able to see something, but at least that's interesting and make them click on it, make them want to see what you're talking about. So make sure your thumbnail pictures are at least interesting when you do your social media. And I'm thinking some of it is like, hey, those guys look like they're having fun. Hey, look at that freaking green gun. So all that stuff, when I pick out the thumbnail, is for a reason. A lot of these up close of me are because I'm driving, and those are just live. So I'm not going to try to pick a thumbnail for a live. I don't even think it gives you an option. Oh, and you see the ones with the food on it? That's because of, if you played it, the ridiculousness I'm having with IG not wanting me to, like, anytime I post something for Gun and Gear Review podcast that shows the firearms, they retard our reach to the point that it's ridiculous. They'll go from a picture with me smoking a cigar beside it, let's just make up a number. I'll have 1,500 views of that. And then the minute I post the video with 2 firearms and a knife and talk about the Gun and Gear Review podcast, I'll have 23 views. I'm like, did everybody go blind? Did I know?
Sorry, I was closing something. What were the numbers that you had? What was the difference in numbers?
Oh, like the difference in numbers between posting firearms related stuff for the Gun and Gear Review podcast and just something of me just speaking. The difference is like 23 for the Gun and Gear Review podcast views to 500 of me speaking.
Crazy. And then food is more than that?
Food is slightly more than the Gun and Gear Review podcast showing firearms. But what happens is people click on the food later. So like the Gun and Gear Review, when I'm talking about that and I'm posting the videos up, it's to get the people to watch the show Tuesday. And that's what I'm looking for. How many people like saw it, clicked on it? But when I do food, like 3 weeks from now, somebody will post, "Man, that food was great. I'm hungry."
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I'm like, "Listen to the damn show. The thing's about the podcast, bro." But engagement's engagement. And I record this, and I don't know if the people who are listening now know. I record that and take those pictures for my Google Maps food reviews that I do. So they encourage us to actually shoot short videos for the food uh, reviews, and they actually have. If you post so many, they give you a little notification like you're a photographer extraordinaire now level because you posted 100 videos, that kind of thing. So I take that. Plus, it looks pretty cool, and now I can use it for this too. So it's dual use for the same material.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. There was one earlier that when I first started, however far down, because I was going backwards in time here, however far I
Mhm.
got to, when I kind of bounced back up, that guy had that T-shirt on that said "Army" because even Marines need heroes.
Yeah. Oh, dude, he was busting my chops at the diversity sheet. I was like, "You son of a gun!"
I haven't
It
seen
was
that.
great.
All right, and then, dang it! Oh, you know what? I was going to say something. The one of the things I've been doing is called Whatnot, and that is essentially a live stream like this, but with eBay mixed into it. You sell stuff on there, so it's a lot of people with baseball card collections and comic books. I think is how it started, but then it diversified into a lot of stuff, including people that go to like storage auctions and buy like the whole auction, or go to have their like
Mhm.
garage sale online essentially. And that's what I use. Essentially, it's like a garage sale. I do a lot of show and tell for making video reviews of stuff, so I got to get rid of all that stuff. And anyway, they're having on that Whatnot, they're having a knife event. They've had them before, and essentially they just promote their knife sales for a couple of days and then have a couple of days worth of knife events. So I'm going to be participating in that. So I think it's next Thursday and Friday, or Friday and Saturday. I don't remember. It's either one of the two. But either way, in about a week from now, if you're interested in buying some cheap knives or less expensive knives, I usually get them out about half the price of what they would be retail, or less or more, kind of depending on if it's a cool one or not, or if anybody bids against you. But it's a fast 30-second auctions, and it's live. So anyway, we're having fun with it, and I've been playing with it and using it to sell stuff. But since they're doing a specific knife event, I'm going to participate, and I got a ton of knives. So anyway, if anybody's a knife person, or if you know somebody's a knife person, send them over to. It'll be mentioned on all our different platforms, but send them over our way next Friday or next week. And I don't remember what Friday for sure. I don't remember if it's Thursday and Friday or Friday and Saturday. All right, so I guess I'd plug something. I don't usually plug stuff. Then we'll wrap it up. So thanks everybody for joining us. We do have the website out there, askunquestions.com, and you can ask any questions you want. I'm not harvesting emails or nothing. It's not any kind of scam. It's just a way for people to ask questions, either anonymously. Oh, it's only anonymous, I guess. So people have asked all kinds of interesting questions over the years, and feel free to be part of that. We'll be back, unless you're doing something next week. We'll be back next week. I don't think I'm doing anything next weekend. And if you've got questions, let us know.
Oh,
Go ahead.
yeah, I'm actually probably going to a gun shop next week to hang out. It's a brand new shop. Something Tactical Considerations, maybe is the name of it. I'm not sure. It's in New Jersey, and CNJFO actually has a Lehigh Valley shotgun clay shoot. If you scroll through my stuff, last year I went. It was awesome. But this year the funding wasn't there to drop the money on the ticket, so I didn't do it. And then I found out that most of the members of CNJFO, Coalition of Jersey Firearms Owners, are actually going to be participating in the clay shoot, but they had an opening for this new thing, and they wanted to have people there, so they got volunteers for that. And I'm just going to drop by and maybe hang out with them because some of their volunteers are my volunteers for diversity shoot. So I'll just get to hang out with the fellas at a gun shop next week. And if you want to check them out, CNJFO, go to cnjfo.org or follow them on their social media, CNJFO. And you can find out what gun shop it is, where it is. I don't even know where it is. I'm just going to go wherever the hell it is and support the guys that support me twice a month at diversity shoots.
Very cool. Okay, well then maybe I'll do another maps or something like that. So do a project next week, and then we'll get back together in a couple weeks.
Okay, cool.
Right. Thanks everybody for joining us, and I'll throw a commercial up here for Gizzard, who does a show every Friday, and that'll let me go check and see if Brooke has her show ready or not yet.
This is Earl Benson reporting from downtown Topeka, where Gizzard Gary is rampaging through the city. Authorities have asked the public to stay indoors. They believe he will tire soon and need a nap. Gizzard Gary can normally be seen on Foul Territory Friday nights at 7 p.m. Central. Wednesday, 8 p.m. for the channel members chat. Stay safe and give him the bird. Earl Benson signing off.
All right, she hasn't posted it yet, but in a couple hours, Brooke Cheney will have her Suicide Prevention Saturday show. That'll be a live, about a half an hour or less usually. Just a kind of a focus on that, that fact that 2 out of 3 deaths with a firearm are suicide, and those numbers are used against us. And the best way to prevent or fight it back at that is to help those folks to normalize the conversations. And every single week, Brooke puts effort to making that happen. So probably the best thing that's going on a regular basis. Happy to be the opening act for that one. It's one of the reasons we do this show at this time of the week, so that we can be that opening act. Normally she has it set up so I can just attach it to this show and you'll have a direct link. But since it's not there, I'll just mention it and say thanks everybody again for joining us. Oh wait, somebody's saying C&T is saying goodbye, and Mike is saying goodbye. Thanks everybody again for joining us live. If you were on X, you could have interacted too. Nothing's stopping you. It's free country.